All right, we got a real problem west of downtown trying to get to downtown. A crash is blocking the left lane, 40 eastbound at Charlotte Pike. They have just now started letting the right and middle lanes go through. Looks like the ramp there may still be blocked. So keep that in mind if you're trying to get to downtown Nashville. Eastbound 40 now down to just the right and inside lane being open. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Welcome one, welcome all. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, underway for another day. Happy to have you with us on this Tuesday, July 14th, in the year of our Lord, 2026. Hello, friends. What's going on? Y'all doing okay? Hope so. Just after 3 o'clock, 3:06, almost 3:07 to be precise, and yet another day of the expectation of thunderstorms and whatnot coming in and around our area. Man, oh man, when we got off the radio last night, I know I've not talked to you guys in about 20 hours or so. That's 20 hours of rest and relaxation. But let me tell you, when we got off the radio last night, young Jackson, young Jay Willie, Y2J and I sat on the veranda here at the Palatial Studios of Supertalk 99.7 WTN and overlooked the beautiful rainfall that was coming down in droves, in buckets, if you will. Watched that for a little while and eventually had to run to the truck. Yeah, it was a gully washer, a frog strangler. There was a lot of rain happening. We've had a lot of rain over the last several weeks.
Hey, Ken.
Yes, sir.
What's those real feels today?
Oh, jeez. You know, I'm in a great mood. Hey, Ken, what's going on, Ken?
How about you, boys?
How you doing back there?
I'm doing all right, boys.
How's News Closet B?
News Closet B is all right.
Dusty?
Still windowless?
Still windowless. Still windowless. But we're hanging in there, fellas.
Just like a hair and a biscuit.
A hair and a biscuit.
Yeah, brother.
Hair and a hot dog. I just had one of them hot dogs from yesterday.
What?
Oh, they're good.
Were they?
Yes.
You had a hot dog yesterday?
I had one today.
Oh, no, there were more hot dogs brought.
Today?
Yes.
What?
Oh, man,
Where?
they're good.
Where?
And banana pudding.
I didn't see that.
Where? Why? You know, I get here early. I feel like I'm all in. They're like swimwear and then nothing. You knew there were hot dogs?
I was offered a hot dog. I took some banana pudding.
And, okay, so that's Benedict Arnold number one. Hey, Benedict Arnold number two.
Yes,
that would
sir.
be Ken Weaver.
I'm sorry about that, Brother Murphy.
You knew there were hot dogs?
Well, I didn't know there were today because there were none today whenever I got here.
Okay.
But yesterday there was a big old 10 of them there in the break room.
I missed those. Yeah, I missed those. I saw the remnants. You know that. You know what we get at 2:00 in the afternoon when I typically show up, or 2:30 or whatever. You know what we get? We get
2:47 yesterday.
Remnants. I did not show up at 2:47. It was like 2:30. How dare you?
It was 2:47.
How dare you?
When I saw you, it was 2:47.
Well, I don't come. You know what? You are not my brother's keeper. I'm not. What's that? How's that saying go? You know, one way or the other. I don't seek you out when I get here, Jackson.
That is a lie.
Actually, I kind of do. I kind of walk down the hall going, Jackson. I looked for you today. I'm wearing this shirt because of a bit we were going to do, and we didn't do the bit.
Well, we couldn't find the person to film the bit.
Well, that's fair.
I had the people ready for the bit.
Everybody was ready for the bit except the guy that had to film the bit. So y'all are going to have to wait for the bit, and I may or may not be wearing this shirt again tomorrow.
Go shirtless.
I love how Ken's solution is just get naked.
The things that Ken gets excited about.
I do, man.
It really makes me want to go visit Oklahoma, see what's going on over there.
The other day, I'm driving home in my neighborhood, and there's a dude. He's just out for a walk, and he's not wearing a shirt, but he's got long pants on. Leisurely walk, like he's exercising.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, that's got to be great, just to have the have the courage just to take your shirt off and go for a stroll out in public?
Well, I saw a guy. It's interesting you mentioned this, Kent. Where was I? Where I saw a dude, little skinny fella, and he was walking down the road. I think this was in MP. It was in Mount Pleasant, the beautiful Mount Pleasant. And he didn't have a shirt on. But he seemed to be far away from any, he wasn't at home base, right?
Yeah.
And there didn't seem to be any shirt on his person. It wasn't like he had tied it around his waist or it was stuffed into his back pocket. And I thought the same thing, Ken. I thought, man, I don't know if it's a matter of confidence or what, where you decide, I'm going to leave the house. I'm not going to be in the yard with no shirt on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be in the neighbor's yard with no shirt on. I'm going down the road.
Right.
I'm going to the whatever, convenience store, grocery, and I'm not putting a shirt on.
Yeah, in this case, it would have been St. Andrews Drive, which is very busy in Murfreesboro. And this cat didn't care.
Yeah.
He just didn't care. I tell you who else did. You remember that movie Lawnmower Man?
Vaguely, yes.
Remember when he eventually got really brave?
Yes.
And started mowing lawns in like tight jeans and a big belt buckle,
Yes.
but no shirt?
Yes.
That didn't scare me. That cracked me up.
Yeah, good for that guy.
I wanted to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I did ask you what you did on vacation, and you told me you didn't wear a shirt.
For most of the time.
That was your first answer to all
Most of the time. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Well, you might have to dodge raindrops if that's your situation today, if you're shirtless or even if you're wearing a shirt, because there might be some rain in the area. Have we caught up on the drought?
You know what? I don't know, Brother Murphy. That's a good question.
I mean, I feel like we're getting there, right? I mean, we're
getting rain every day.
I feel as if we're getting more than our fair share of rain in July. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I remember this. I remember this happening in August here in Middle Tennessee when we'd start getting these daily pop-up showers and storms. I remember July just being dry and hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that has not been the case this year.
We're getting a lot of rain and making up for some of the rain that we did not get earlier in the year. And I suppose that that's a good thing, but it gets a little tiring that I have to dodge raindrops every time I leave the radio station to go home.
Not a lot of spring showers.
Jackson, are you smoking weed before the show?
Y'all haven't heard the term spring showers?
Yes.
Bring some gravitas to your April.
I think it's April showers bring May flowers.
Sure.
I think that's right.
Spring showers.
April was pretty dry.
I thought spring showers was some.
That might be the name of the Goomies Brother Jackson's taking.
I think Spring Showers was a porno actress that I found out about in college. She dabbled in the specialty pornography industry. If you
Lord have mercy.
Oh gosh.
You did it.
No, I
I'm
didn't.
trying to talk about real news of importance to the people of this great state of Tennessee in these United States of America, nay the globe. And you, sir, bring the trash. How dare you?
Matt brings up an adult film actress, and it's my fault.
Spring Showers. Look her up.
I don't want to.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Nobody should.
That's what Spring Showers said. Or maybe she said a little something different. Anyway, we've got lots to get into today. Ken Weaver's got headlines. He will deliver them twice an hour. He looks them up all hour long and delivers them twice an hour, and when it breaks. And sometimes there's breaking news that merits Ken breaking in, and he is allowed and knows that he is able to do that at any time of his choosing. There's Jackson Williams. He screens your telephone calls and, generally speaking, make sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. We're on iHeart, Spotify, and TuneIn. We're also on our own app, Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Take us wherever you go. Download the app and go wherever you'd like on your smartphone or your laptop. You can carry us where you go. We're also, of course, on the radio dial, 99.7 FM. That is a preferred method of listening to the Matt Murphy Radio Show. And then talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. Right now, go over there. Get on there. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, follow, whatever you have to do because it costs. What does it cost, Ken?
Absolutely nothing, boys. Yeah.
I mean, it costs you nothing but a moment of your time, and you would do us a big solid because you're raising that digital footprint. As the digital footprint grows every day, so does the radio station, and we would appreciate that very much. If you like what you hear, give us the old like and subscribe. Okay, we will get into the ICE shooting in Maine coming up in just a moment. But I want to follow up on the cross that we had with Chad Benson and tell you this. This is in no way a reflection on any particular political candidate, although I think perhaps some of you will take it that way. But I've been thinking about this for a long time. And I'm frustrated only in as much as I understand all of it, and I think you understand all of it, and it does not sit well with me one way or the other. It is stuck in my craw that political opportunists, political candidates, but I repeat myself, they have decided that they don't have to be answerable to the individual voters if they have enough money in their coffers through some big-time donations. Sometimes these are individual donations. Sometimes these are donations that come in from, big political machinery. Sometimes they lean on political action committees and whatnot to do their dirty work for them, one way or the other. There's a lot of nuanced aspects to where we are in modern politics in America today. But I was thinking last night about the spirit of Abraham Lincoln and Stephen Douglas. Now, trust me when I tell you that a lot has changed, and I recognize that a lot has changed between 1858 and 2026. But in 1858, there were a series of debates, 7 of them to be precise, between Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican Party candidate for United States Senate from Illinois, and incumbent Senator Stephen Douglas, the Democrat Party candidate. So until the 17th Amendment to the United States Constitution, one that I would personally destroy if I had the ability. If I were king for the day, one of the first things that I would do, I would declare that the 17th Amendment was null and void, but that's a different subject for a different matter, for a different day and a different conversation. But the 17th Amendment provided that senators would be elected by the people of their states. That was ratified in 1913. Senators were elected by the representative state legislature. So Lincoln and Douglas, they were trying to win the people's votes for legislators in the Illinois General Assembly aligned with their respective political parties. In other words, they were trying to win over individuals that would go to the legislature and then vote them in as a United States senator. Does that make sense to everyone? Prior to the 17th Amendment, these things happened a little bit differently. The legislative body would select 2 from the state of Tennessee and send them up to Washington, D.C. The debates were designed to generate publicity for the race, and publicity they generated. The debates focused on slavery, specifically whether or not it should be allowed in the new states to be formed from the Western Federal Territory that was acquired by the Louisiana Purchase. They also debated any number of other issues, popular sovereignty, federalism. Lincoln argued against the expansion, stressed that he was not advocating for the abolition of slavery where it already existed. Obviously, he changed his position considerably after becoming president of the United States of America. The debates took place between August and October of 1858. Newspapers reported that 12,000 people were in attendance in Ottawa, Illinois, 16,000 to 18,000 people in Galesburg, Illinois, 15,000 in Freeport, 12,000 in Quincy, and the last debate in Alton, 5,000 to 10,000 people. The debates near Illinois' borders drew large numbers of people from neighboring states. Many, many people traveled within Illinois to follow the debate schedule. They followed along. Douglas was eventually reelected by the Illinois General Assembly 54-46. In other words, Lincoln ultimately lost that race, but the debates themselves catapulted him to national prominence within the Republican Party and eventually catapulted him to become the Republican nominee for president of the United States in 1860, a time, obviously, of great turmoil within the U.S. as the impending Civil War was on our doorstep, or the War of Northern Aggression. These debates lasted for hours. For hours. Where two men stood on a lectern, stood on a stage, and went back and forth and back and forth. Lincoln ultimately made the debates into a book in 1860. He included the following material. One would give a speech, and then another would give a speech, and then one would follow up, and then another would follow up. Obviously, the Lincoln-Douglas debates have been well documented within American history. But as I'm thinking about these debates, I'm thinking about 2026 and where we are in our political society and where we are in terms of our attention spans. Now, I understand that long gone are the days where the American people of any number would sit through a 4 or 5 or 6 hour debate. But ultimately, what a debate represents, it represents a manifestation of what the political candidate is ultimately trying to do, and that is you are applying for a job. And I'm the employer, and you're the employer. And I have decided, just as a general rule, that I'm not voting for people who decline to debate. And that obviously has consequences in the Republican GOP primary. I don't know what that means in terms of the general election, but I'm here's the thing, and I'm going to discuss this after we take a short break. The political calculus is not wrong. The consultants that make a lot of money advising these political candidates aren't wrong, because right now there's no ramification for not doing it if you're ahead of enough. There's no negative consequence. And I do not believe that it is a function of the state to force people in primary contests to debate. So what are we left with? I think what we should be left with, well, I want to count myself among that number that say, you know what? Y'all do you, and you decide for yourselves for whom you are planning on voting. All I can do is tell you where I'm at on the matter. And where I'm at on the matter is, if you don't think enough of me, it's not about your fellow candidates. Now, this is not just for the gubernatorial election. This could be for any election in the state of Tennessee or across the United States of America. If I'm involved in the voting, I'm going to calculate whether or not you presented yourself before the people that you're asking to vote for you. That's what it's about. In an unscripted fashion, in the white-hot spotlight of the moment, were you willing to do that? Do you have the ability and the willingness to do that, to present yourself before me, the person that you're asking to hire you? And if you're unwilling to do that, you're ultimately insulting me. And you're suggesting that you can spend large amounts of money to overcome that insult. And I'm just not going to do it anymore. And I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not Y'all do what you need to do. It is your choice. I'm telling you how I'm going to respond to it from now on. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to think about this. It's not a matter, and I'll use the Marsha Blackburn, John Rose, Monty Fritz example because it's the obvious one to use. It's not a matter of Marsha insulting John or Monty. You're insulting me. And it's not a matter of you making appearances that are scripted. It's a matter of you making an appearance that isn't. That's the point. That's what I want to see. I want to make sure that you, not your consultants, not your talking points, not your advisors, not your political campaign staff, I want to know that you are in control. Whoever you are, whether it's in the governor's race or whatever, whoever you are. And once again, I like Senator Blackburn. I like John Rose. I like Monty Fritz. I like most every candidate. Political candidates, by their very nature, are likable. That's part of being involved in politics. I'm not mad at a single one of them. I'm just deciding to take a little of my individual power back. And when you decide to not debate, it's not a matter of you saying that the other candidate is not worthy. It's a matter of you saying that I'm not worthy. And I'm just not going to do it anymore. 615-737-9986, 26 after the hour on Super Talk. With now 4 separate locations to serve you, the Tennessee Men's Clinic continues to grow. Why? Because men have realized that they are the trusted resource when it comes to men's health, specifically men's health that involves sexual activity. Folks, I understand it's a sensitive subject. We've talked about this in the past, but I also understand that if you need help, you do not need to whistle past the graveyard and think that this thing is going to go away on its own. What you need to do is make the call that so many others have made to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They are your urology-based resource. There's a qualified urologist in every office. They're going to sit down with you and consult with you, and for less than $100, they will come up with a plan of action, get a little blood work, see what's going on in your body. Is it testosterone or something else? They'll find out at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and they'll let you know. There's a location close by, one in Midtown. That's in the middle of Nashville. Cool Springs, that was their second outfit that they opened up in Middle Tennessee. Now they have places in Clarksville, for those of you a little north of the city, and Murfreesboro is the brand new location. Every single one of these locations can be accessed online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or on the phone, 615-208-9090, 208-9090. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy. I'm sorry I'm laughing. I was talking to Jackson about, y'all need to go look at the slide that Jackson put up today for the YouTube. Is that on all of them? I answer this question after I finish talking about Brink Fiddler and Defense Systems. Brink Fiddler and Defense Systems are great people. They're great at what they do, and I want to encourage you to give Brink a call. If you're a decision maker in any capacity at a place of business, at a school or at a church, you need Defense Systems on your team. They are a life safety and security consultation firm. They can help you understand exactly what you ought to do in advance of a possible negative something or another happening in your place of business, like a workplace violence situation. So they will conduct site surveys and offer threat assessment, offer security improvement consultation, emergency and intruder action plans, and then we'll get to the real work of talking to you about rapid response medical training, active shooter response training, workplace violence prevention, all customized to your facility and for your team. That's what it's about, protecting you and protecting the team from the unlikely event that something bad could happen in your office, in your school, in your church. Hope is not a plan, friends. It is time to get trained with Defend Systems. Call Defend Systems today at 615-236-6484, 236-6484, or online at defendsystems.com.
Checking radar, we got some of those pop-up showers and thunderstorms moving from east to west. Right now, Waverly getting some of the heaviest rain there west of Nashville. And we got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. ICE temporarily stopping, pulling people over in traffic after 2 fatal shootings involving agents in Maine and Texas. The policy change comes after those 2 men who were reportedly not the intended targets of ICE operations were fatally shot during enforcement operations. ICE says they want to train agents further before resuming vehicle enforcement. That brief relief from gas pain is about to end with the escalation between Iran and the U.S. to blame. That's what Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy, predicts. Here's why he's come to that conclusion.
After 8 weeks of declining, we may see a multi-week upward trajectory after oil's big jump yesterday, after new escalations in the strait between the U.S. and Iran. It likely will start to cost Americans more to fill up.
Yeah, right now in Middle Tennessee, Gas Buddy says we're up at least 20 cents per gallon on average since last week. Also, here in Nashville, officials are optimistic the new federal housing law will bring more tools to Tennessee communities struggling with rising home prices and rent. News 2's Liz DeSantis says it levels the playing field by barring massive corporations from outbidding individual families.
A Tennessee Housing Development Agency study found 1 in 5 Davidson County home sales in 2020 went to investors. Supporters say the new federal law takes a step towards addressing those pressures.
Anything that we can do to kind of incentivize those deals to kind of pencil out is going to just, by proxy, bring down the cost of housing.
Supporters say this law won't make home prices drop tomorrow, but they hope it will help cities like Nashville build more housing, preserve more affordable homes, and give more Tennesseans a fair shot at owning one.
Metro leaders say Nashville's going to need about 90,000 additional homes over the next 10 years to keep up with growth and help ease housing costs. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in addition to the usual brake tapping slowdowns, we've got crashes to contend with. Right now, 40 eastbound off-ramp to Charlotte Pike there in Hillwood. You've got that off-ramp blocked. In Antioch, a crash. Benzing Road, just north of Tusculum. Over by the airport, a crash. Murfreesboro Pike, west of Night Valley Drive. Also in Antioch, Preston Road, south of Old Franklin Road. Green Hills at injury crash, Whitebridge Pike north of Post Road. Whites Creek at injury crash, Whites Creek Pike south of Briley Parkway. I'm Ken Weaver.
If you are looking for extreme value and looking for that home run gift for an anniversary or a birthday or a just because, here it is. It's Genesis Diamonds. A lot of things going on in the world of diamonds, not the least of which prices are at the lowest that they've been in a long time. And Genesis, they're the experts, and they're willing to tell you. Friends, nobody has more diamonds than my friends at Genesis Diamonds. Every shape, every size, in stock, perfectly cut. Excellent symmetry, maximum dazzle. Get into Genesis and find out how big a diamond you can get and at what price. Prices that you've never thought possible are available for you right now at Genesis. Genesis is your source for all fine jewelry, to include colored gemstones, gold, fashion jewelry from the world's top designers. Hard to find luxury pre-owned timepieces like those Rolexes that I talk about all the time. Their non-commissioned experts can help you navigate any purchase, from engagement rings to exquisite heirloom jewelry. Round here, everybody knows that Genesis Diamonds is the place to go for people in the know. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. They're the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans. Heck, they're the official jeweler of the Matt Murphy Show. Tell them I sent you to the one and only Genesis. Hey. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Little Huey Lewis and the news.
Come on now.
Yes, sir.
Jackson, we need more of that in our lives. I love that. 38 minutes after the hour, Matt Murphy, Jackson Williams, Ken Weaver. It's the afternoon slot on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We go till 7 o'clock and hand off to Mark Levin at that time. We'd love to hear from you. You're invited to hit us up, and many of you have on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. But if you'd like to additionally maybe turn a monologue into a dialogue, give us a call. Give us your thoughts on any matter that we are discussing or one that you want to bring up, 615-737-9986. 9986. I'd love to hear from you. It's my favorite thing that we do every day is dialogue on the telephones. 615-737-9986. So I got a little upset. I went over to the YouTube Super Talk 99.7 WTN page. And we're on the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Twitches. It's episode 1074. You can watch the show in addition to listen to the show over there. And Jackson Williams is in charge of putting up, we're calling it, is it called the slide? That's what it's called, the slide. And the slide is the thing that you see on the YouTube page and probably on the Facebook and all of these other things. The slide's the thing that you see that'll get you to click on the page. And I was a little upset. I'm like, Jackson, that's an awful shirt. And I've never worn a shirt that looks like that in my life. But then I realized that Jackson put me in that shirt as a direct reflection of the actual shirt that I'm wearing. And they look very similar. So, but I don't look that angry, nor do I look that Chinese. Y'all go decide for yourselves. I think I'm looking a little, the AI's got me looking a little Chinese, Jackson.
You better look out.
And
We're working to make the lives of our constituents better for the YouTube and the Rumble. And we will continue to work hard at that goal.
Very, very well spoken, candidate Jackson.
And I will not be debating Marsha Blackburn, John Rose, or Monty Fritz in this upcoming debate.
You just don't feel it's necessary.
Nope, got a pie eating contest I got to get to.
So, let me talk to you about the political calculation real quick. And once again, we're getting to the ICE shooting in Maine coming up in the second hour. Also, in the third hour of the show, we will welcome a candidate to the program. Jeremy Thompson is running for the 9th Congressional District seat, the newly drawn district. The Republican candidates are Brent Taylor, Todd Warner, Jeremy Thompson, and Charlene Bergman. I think that's right. Or Charlotte Bergman. And we'll have all of them on if time allows. But they've debated. They've sat down together and hashed out their differences face to face. And I believe that that's important for the American people. Once again, I'm not mad at the political calculus. And here's where we're at. Political consultants and pollsters and advisors and all of these backroom boys, the backroom boys, they determine that if they have a candidate that is up in a race, and I don't want this to come off as it's about Marsha or anything like that, and it really isn't. It's just a determination that I've been heading down this road for a long time, and now there comes to a point where it's not a matter of their political opponents being insulted. It's a matter of me being insulted. But in the political calculus, there is a determination that if I'm up by a certain amount, by the way, Donald Trump did this in 2024. Y'all, I am well aware that Donald Trump did this in 2024. And it bothered me then, too. Trump was a little bit of a different entity in that he had already been president of the United States of America, and had the shenanigans of 2020 not occurred, Donald Trump would have been the obvious choice in the Republican Party and would have faced no opposition. But because he got the boot for 4 years and had to come back after 4 years, so it was a slightly different circumstance. But I think these basic standards apply to that as well. The calculation is if you're up by a certain amount of political points, if you feel like you can take care of your own business without needing to debate, then you don't debate, because a debate is looked at as a risky potential liability. Well, I look at it a little bit differently. You earn my vote. You're not given my vote. And if you choose not to present yourself in an unscripted way in front of me, then I can choose to withhold my vote for that reason. And I've now decided that I'm going to do that. Part of the job application process is to present yourself before the people in that particular format. Now, here's why it's all about not being able to perform when the hot lights come on. And this is the fear of the political consultants, and this is what they won't tell you. They fear that their candidate's going to get caught in a bind. They fear that their candidate is going to do something embarrassing. They fear that their candidate is going to say something that is out of bounds or that's unscripted or that wasn't pre-planned. Well, if your candidate can't handle an hour on a stage or an hour and a half on a stage standing upright behind a podium and keep their mind and their wits about them and bat back any lobs that come their way, then I don't know that your candidate is worthy of whatever political office they're seeking, correct? So the calculation is, well, we're 30 points up. We're going to win this thing anyway, and the voters will not punish us for not debating. And they're right. They're right. The political consultants thus far have been correct. Donald Trump was not punished for not debating. I remember that Kay Ivey back in Alabama, when I was back in Alabama in Birmingham, Kay Ivey was running for governor. She was there was a conventional wisdom that she had lost a step or two in terms of her public service, her ability on her feet, you know what I mean? And so she didn't debate. And she won handily, easily. People loved her. I'm not telling anybody else what to do, but I am telling you that until the voters decide that this is something that they expect out of their political candidates, this type of thing will continue. And so you have, in combination, you have a Republican Party that has more and more put its thumb on the scale in the state of Tennessee, picking and choosing which candidates they determine are worthy and which candidates are not worthy. In the meantime, you've got candidates that are, quote unquote, considered worthy, raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars from out-of-state corporations and other entities that are not specifically involved in the political race here in the state of Tennessee. They use that money to go up on television, to go up on radio, to go up on these flyers, and they don't feel like they have to face the voters, the people themselves. And what they will tell you is, if Marsha or John or whomever it might be were sitting here in my studio today, they would say, well, Matt, I face the voters every single day. And I would say to that, then why don't you face them in that format? What is it about that specific format that you're so afraid of? If that's the case, if candidate X says, well, Matt Murphy, I talk to the voters every day. No, you talk to the voters in a scripted fashion. You do forums. You do prearranged. And yeah, occasionally you'll do interviews. You'll do one-on-one interviews. Like, for example, Todd Warner did this morning with Dan Mandis, or Marsha did with Dan Mandis, or whatever. Well, I face the voters every day. Well, then, if you're willing to face them every day, why won't you face them in a debate format with everyone on the stage? What is it about that specific? That's the answer that I want. The answer to the question, what is it about the specific nature of that format that scares you so much? Oh, well, I'm not afraid. Well, then why won't you do it? I want you in that uncomfortable position, because guess what's not scripted? Life is not scripted, and the role of governor or the role of congressman or the role of senator, those aren't scripted moments either. And you're going to have crap thrown at you that you never expect coming. And I want to know how you react in those situations. It is a part of my voting calculus as to how you're going to react. When things go a little weird, when things go a little crazy, when the mic doesn't work like it's supposed to, or somebody throws something at you out of left field, how do you respond to that? That's a part of what I want to see. I don't need canned answers. I don't need 30-second soundbite commercials. I need you for an hour or an hour and a half under the gun, in the spotlight, not knowing what question is going to come next. And if you're not willing to do that, then I don't think you're doing enough for my vote. Now, you're welcome to call us, 615-737-9986. There's this. Larry writes in and says, I'm with you, Matt. The fact that Marsha will not... and this is not specifically about Marsha Blackburn, although she is obviously the most prominent politician that would fit into this dynamic. But this is not for me about anyone specifically. And I like Marsha Blackburn. I mean, I do, as far as I know her. And I understand the good that she's done in the past for the state of Tennessee. But anyway, I'm with you, Matt. Just the fact that Marsha will not face the constituency that she seeks to govern. I will vote for someone else in the primary. I like Monty as much as I do her. He'll get my primary vote if she wins. The primary, of course, I'll vote for her, but I will not be happy about it. 9777, I haven't listened in a few days. Sounds like you're being negative again. Remember, just because it's your opinion doesn't make it right. Well, I certainly think that way. I mean, why would I have an opinion that I thought was wrong? I'm not trying to be... 9777, I promise you, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just allowing folks to understand where I'm at and how I came to this political analysis. And I'm encouraging you to offer me your own. Sally says, I don't need old cracker crushing cookies. Oh, wait, I don't need old crackers crushing cookies. That's clever. I like what you did there. Matt, I agree with everything you're saying. I would like for you to consider, however, that out of context sound bites of the type that's done by virtually everyone except your radio station is the main reason that people who don't want to debate don't. Who would want to expose himself today if they don't have to? Well, that's right. And I agree with you, 2565, and the if they don't have to is the crucial part in that. The voters have declared uniformly that you can skip these types of things and get away with it. And what I am trying to begin is a movement by which we say no. I think it's wrong to suggest that the state General Assembly should force the primaries to alter their primary policies. I think it's wrong that the state involves itself in the primary procedures at all. I think we need to open this up to third-party candidacies more so than already exists in the state of Tennessee. I think we need to stop the stranglehold on Democrat and Republican politics in this state. I think we need to see more political parties with access to the ballot. And I don't believe that we need to continue to spend tremendous amounts of state money to conduct their primary procedures. I think the state needs to be involved less in the primary, not more. So I don't believe that it's an answer that I'm comfortable with, that we would have the state pass a law that forces candidates to debate. We can do that on our own, is my point. And we do that by saying, you know what? If you don't think that you need to expend the energy to get on a debate stage, then I'm not going to expend the energy to vote for you. It's just that simple. And once again, the candidate answer is always the same. I'm out there every day. I'm talking to the people every day. I'm doing the hard work every day. Well, then why won't you debate? The only answer is you're afraid to debate. What is it about debating that's different than what you are already doing, according to you? Carrie is in Nashville. First up on the Matt Murphy Show. Hello, Carrie.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
So I wanted to kind of bring my opinion into this whole debate stuff. I am a female, but of course I'm not going to be voting for Marsha just because I've not really seen anything amazing in her track record as senator. And the fact that she is one of the highest paid Republican senators to get big pharma money was a big no for me. But the debate thing is huge because I feel like as a governor, you're going to have huge responsibilities. And if you can't come out and give your opinions or what you're standing for to people, how in the heck are you going to be able to hold an office and, debate and have those hard decisions and conversations? And I don't know if you're familiar with Phil Williams. I'm not a fan. But he just did a piece where Marsha had talked to a Memphis reporter saying that they were going to take state incentives package for Starbucks, and she's going to have all that money recouped for them in 6 months through payroll taxes. Well, Tennessee doesn't have payroll taxes, so is she saying she's going to put in a payroll tax now to bail out a corporation? I think that's a little bit concerning. And I also know that she's in Georgia and I think Mississippi doing fundraisers, but she's not running for governor in those states. So I'm kind of curious why she's there holding huge fundraisers.
Well, she's holding huge fundraisers. I mean, the simple answer, Carrie, and you're not going to like it, she's holding fundraisers in Georgia because that's where the money is. I mean, you're right.
And that could be. I'm not,
I mean, no, I mean, they're just, they run to the money. They cater to the money more so than they cater to the voters of the state that they're running in.
That's sad. Yeah, and that's sad. But her wanting the data centers in Tennessee to be a surveillance state, I have a huge problem with that. And I think most people with common sense do. It's kind of shady. But that's my opinion, and I know everyone's entitled to theirs. So,
well, I appreciate your opinion today. Thank you for calling in.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Call us anytime, Carrie. Thank you very much. 55 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hi, friends. Matt Murphy for King and Associates Insurance. So you're frustrated with your automobile insurance? Maybe you're not getting the coverage that you feel like you deserve, or perhaps you're paying a little bit too much. Well, I might recommend you call Emery over at King and Associates and tell him Matt Murphy sent me to ask you about automobile insurance or homeowners insurance, or better yet, bundle them together and you'll save even more. It's what I did this past January. Talked to Emery about my homeowners, and he said, give me a crack at that automobile, and I did, and he saved me over 300, almost 400, over 350 as a matter of fact. So that's almost $400 in savings on automobile insurance alone, plus great rates on homeowners too. Visit tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com. They work for you. They are local and independent. That means they don't work for any particular insurance company, meaning that they can shop all of the marketplace and find the best deal for you. That's 329-8121 is the number. 329-8121. Call today for a free quote on home and auto. tkinginsurance.com, protecting what matters most.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Federal immigration officers are being told to stop pulling people over in traffic after 2 deadly shootings involving ICE agents in the past week, one in Maine, one in Texas. Officials say the pause is temporary, aimed at providing additional training for ICE agents. Vehicle stops may still be authorized when agents are targeting serious criminal suspects. The escalation between Iran and the U.S. could send gasoline prices rising, predicts Patrick DeHaan. As the head of petroleum analytics for GasBuddy, DeHaan says, according to what he's seeing, that increase could happen over the course of the next few hours.
Motorists may go to work this morning with a lower price. They may see prices that are 15 to 40 cents a gallon higher on their way home from work today or even tomorrow.
Right now in Middle Tennessee, GasBuddy says we're up 20 cents per gallon on average since last week. A Hermitage backyard that neighbors say hosted a monthly fight event is now under a Metro Code stop work order. Councilman Jordan Huffman says complaints included reports of admission fees, prize money, injuries, and heavy traffic in that neighborhood.
You've got a quiet neighborhood here in Hermitage that once a month historically has become the site of a literal fight club, things that you hear about on TV and movies.
News 2 says photos provided to it showed a large cage and crowds gathered at that property. Metro Codes says the events are not permitted under the home's residential zoning designation. And a Nashville woman is facing multiple charges after stabbing a medic with a dirty needle during an ambulance ride. Police say 33-year-old Jessica Woods was pulling the medic's hair, then tried to bite her before running from the ambulance. Officers found her nearby when Woods hit a cop in the face with handcuffs. Woods is charged with 2 felony counts of assault on a first responder and 9 misdemeanors. And Chesley Sullenberger, known as Sully, who famously piloted that crippled plane full of passengers into the Hudson River in 2009, has made an announcement about his health. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
His voice and words are iconic in aviation.
Hit birds who lost thrust and felt it's returning back towards LaGuardia.
In 2009, when Chesley Sullenberger, known as Sully, announced U.S. Airways Flight 1549 had hit birds and lost engine power and would be landing in the Hudson River.
We're going to be in the Hudson.
Now, over 17 years later, Sullenberger announcing at the age of 75 he's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Over 7 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. In a statement, Sullenberger says he's in the early stages and can find it hard to remember a name or he'll forget a story, and looks forward to his future with his family by his side. Alex Stone, ABC News.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we got a crash in Glencliff. This is Briley Parkway westbound there at 24 South. And in Madison, a crash. Left side of the off-ramp is blocked 65 northbound to Old Hickory Boulevard. You've got injuries involved. EMS is on the scene. And Donaldson, an injury wreck. Donaldson Pike at Elm Hill Pike. Madison, an injury crash. Old Hickory Boulevard at Gallatin Pike. I'm Ken Weaver.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Second hour of the Matt Murphy Show begins right now. Happy to have you with us. It is 7 minutes after 4 o'clock. Good afternoon, everybody. Day going well so far? Hope so. Big goings on over the next 3 hours on the Matt Murphy Radio Show. It's episode 1074. It's day 540 of the second term of Donald J. Trump as President of the United States of America. You can find us on a variety of platforms, Spotify, TuneIn, a couple of those. We've got our own app. Take us wherever you'd like to go. Download Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Then, of course, there's Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. Join us over there. It's a crazy place over in the YouTube chat. Those people are absolutely insane, and we love it, every single moment of it. And we appreciate you, whatever platform you're utilizing. We thank you for it, and we appreciate you. First hour of the show, discussing the political races that are coming to a head on August the 6th. Obviously, the governor's race is getting a lot of attention, but others are getting attention as well. Frankly, the congressional races of note would be District Number 9. We're going to have a candidate from the Republican primary in District 9 on next hour. Jeremy Thompson will be with us. Looking forward to that conversation. He's running against Brent Taylor, Todd Warner, and I think her name is it Charlotte Bergman? Why can't I remember her name? She's from over in Memphis, and I apologize. Charlotte or Charlene? Bergman, I think I've got right, but I think it's Charlotte. One way or the other. We'll have him on in the 5 o'clock hour. Looking forward to that conversation. Never had the opportunity to speak with Jeremy, and I think it'll be a good talk regarding the district that was newly created when we reformed these district lines after the Supreme Court decided that you should not consider race in terms of line drawing dynamics when it comes to congressional districts, which is a good thing. But I made the mention that I've come to a conclusion, and some might consider it not that big of a deal. Maybe you came to this conclusion a long time ago, that if a candidate running for political office declines the opportunity to stand before the people of the office in which they wish to serve, if they decline the opportunity to have a forum, a debate type setting, where the other candidates vying for that political position are on stage with them, and in a structured way answer questions that they don't know. They don't know the questions that are coming beforehand, and they answer those questions, and the other candidates answer questions, and they can, challenge those candidates as to their position on that issue or this issue or whatever under the white hot spotlight. If they choose not to do that, then I'm just going to choose not to vote for them. That is the only recourse that I know of that could potentially solve this issue. I see it more and more and more where people go to fundraisers and use the money from fundraisers to go up on television and to go up in mass communication style, and they don't feel like they have to individually talk to the people. That's just where I'm at on it. I don't know where you are on it. If you've not heard, I think News Channel 5 was attempting to put together a gubernatorial debate. It fell apart. This was Monday, July 20th. The schedule had John Rose had agreed to it. Monty Fritz had agreed to it. Marsha Blackburn declined the invitation to take a part in the gubernatorial debate at Cumberland University in Lebanon. campaign manager Abigail Sigler telling News Channel 5 Senator Blackburn has votes scheduled in the Senate that evening. Congressman John Rose, in the aftermath of that, said that he would not take part if Senator Blackburn did not take part, which makes John just, I don't understand it. So John was on the show recently, and once again, none of this is personal. I like Marsha, I like John, I like Monty. They're all nice people. I don't believe that they're bad people. Their decisions do have consequences, though, and John is in an interesting position that he's running around the state of Tennessee challenging Marsha Blackburn to a debate, suggesting that she is afraid of him and that it's wrong that she will not take to the stage and debate him. Yet when he is offered the opportunity to stand on a stage with Monty Fritz, he declines that, and he referred to it on my radio show as punching down. Yet on his social media platform, and I noted this on the X machine, he said he'd debate anyone, anytime, anywhere. That's what he said. That's not me saying that. That's him saying that. Well, apparently you're not going to debate Monty Fritz on July 20th in Lebanon at Cumberland University because you've now turned it down. What happened to anyone, anytime, anywhere? So it was on our radio show several weeks ago. Remember, this dust-up occurred between Monty and John on the X machine, and we were trying to put it to bed. And John said, Marsha needs to debate me. It's wrong that she won't debate me. And I said, well, what about you debating Monty? No, that's punching down. That's what he referred to it as. Well, yesterday, at 6:37 p.m., John Rose for Tennessee writes on the social media platform X, Marsha Blackburn just declined another debate. Tennessee voters deserve better than a candidate who refuses to show up and answer their questions. I'm prepared to debate anyone, anytime, anywhere, any day. Yet, almost simultaneously to sending that tweet out, the Congressman Rose's people, who had originally agreed to take part in the televised Channel 5 debate, has now declined to take part in the debate. Rose campaign manager Chris Devaney released a statement saying, quote, Tennesseans deserve to hear from all three candidates. Senator Blackburn's refusal is not a surprise as she continues her campaign of running away from voters. We're hopeful she will agree to an alternate date, but we aren't holding our breath. So Rose and Fritz had originally agreed to take part in the televised debate this coming Monday, a week from yesterday. But now John Rose will not be taking a part because Blackburn will not be there. Let me go right back to this quote from John Rose for Tennessee, on the X machine. I'm prepared to debate anyone, anytime, anywhere, any day. Well, you had agreed to make a debate appearance on July 20th. You've now declined that opportunity because of who will not be there. So this post, I mean, guys, what am I supposed to say about this? This post becomes a lie, right? Marsha Blackburn just declined another debate. Tennessee voters deserve better than a candidate who refuses to show up and answer their questions. I'm prepared to debate anyone, anytime, anywhere, any day. Well, you're not debating on July 20th with Monty Fritz on the stage. Monty Fritz is anyone. July 20th is any time. Cumberland University in Lebanon is anywhere. Monday is any day. What am I supposed to say to that? It's just, it gets to the point of being horribly insulting. And I don't care about John insulting Marsha and Marsha insulting John and Monty insulting. I don't care about any of that. I care about the candidates that are asking for your vote insulting you and I. And it's just a little too far. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is I'm not voting for candidates who won't debate. And I suppose that means that I'm voting for Monty Fritz in the primary, at least as it stands today. Mike is next up. Mike, thank you for the call. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm still alive, brother.
Well, I'm glad you are, brother. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, man?
There's a lot on my mind. Man, this election thing, I mean, they say one thing, but they actually mean another. That's like the one that voted against the fairground thing and then tried to tell you that he didn't. That was crazy, but I applaud you for holding your ground and calling him out on it. I deeply applaud you for that.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. And once again, I remind people, none of this is personal. To meet people, I mean, if you meet Marsha Blackburn one-on-one, you'll like her. If you meet John Rose one-on-one, you'll like him. I like both of those people. I just, at some point, you have to set up standards and live by those standards. And I don't like John Rose talking out of both sides of his mouth when it comes to debates. So, there it is.
Now, more importantly, if we don't watch what we're doing, we're fixing to lose America. And I've got family members who have died, shed their blood to keep America safe and keep our freedoms. But you look at what they're doing in California. California has banned Glocks. And a lot of the people that voted them people in has moved to Tennessee from California. And a lot of the Democrats is talking about, more communism thing. I don't know how much longer that I'm going to be here, but I hope and pray that my grandkids don't wind up being in a socialist country. Reagan said it best, that we're one generation away from not being a free country. I can't remember the exact quote, but you probably can, Mr. Murphy. And look at this, or don't remember this. We're lucky to be in America, blessed to be in America, but most of all, we're blessed to be around people who care. We have more caring people in the state of Tennessee and in the United States than any country in the world. Whenever people need something, a disaster or whatever, we're the only country that actually sends people and sends money to help. Whenever Nashville, the fire outage and everything, there was a lot of people that chipped in, and even on your show, you talked about it each day. If people needed something, to contact you, and you would get them help.
Yeah, we did, too. We were able to help several folks. It was good.
You did a lot. You have a great heart, Mr. Murphy. And I hope each and one of you tell your loved ones tonight before you go to bed that you love them and that you say a prayer for America and your loved ones.
Well, that's well spoken, Mike. And America needs as many prayers as we can send up to God Almighty. And I know you send a lot of them up, and I appreciate you for doing that, and I appreciate you for calling in, brother.
Well, if you don't mind, say a prayer for me and my mother.
Amen. I'll do so.
Both of us really need it with both our healths.
All right. Will do, Mike. Hit me up, brother. Let me know if I can help you.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. God bless you. And prayers up for you and your mama. Gary is next up. Hey, Gary.
Hey. Glad to talk with you, man.
Hey,
you hear
Gary, well, it's a little tough. Are you on a speaker there, Gary? Or I can hear you a little better now.
Yeah.
I can hear you a little better now.
Hang on.
Speakerphone's kind
Is
of
that better?
Yeah, speakerphone's a little tough sometimes. It's mainly making sure that the people can hear everything that you say, Gary. I wanted you to be loud and clear when you make your comment.
Okay. How is it now?
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you, you had mentioned earlier in the broadcast about the many wonderful things Marsha Blackburn has done for the state of Tennessee. I wonder if you'd care to list a few of them.
Marsha Blackburn was one of the individuals that prevented a vote to institute a state income tax in the state back in the day. She was very influential in that effort, along with people like Phil Valentine, Steve Gill, and others. And I'm certain that there are other politicians, but that's a good example of what she did as a state senator.
Do you think the voters of Tennessee would have approved it?
Do I think the voters of Tennessee would have approved a state income tax?
Right.
I don't know that. I wasn't here then. Would they have gotten a vote on that?
Yes, they would have.
Well, I mean, it doesn't depend whether or not they would have. Marsha Blackburn did not give up the individuals that were promoting a state income tax that opportunity. I mean, I don't think that we need to take her successes away from her if we don't like what she has become in the United States Senate. And I think people that are trying to diminish her role, I wasn't here then, Gary, but I've talked to enough people that would tell you that she was very influential in determining that would not move forward like it did. So, I mean, that's not a promotion of her. You asked a question and I answered it.
I understand that. I've studied her voting record, and as far as legislation put forth, she's practically nil that way. According to your own station's news today, she had a minus 75% approval rating in the Senate. The Chinese communists supposedly are buying the
Gary,
land in Tennessee.
What is that? What did that? Hold on a second. I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought here, but
that's okay.
I don't know what you mean. A minus 75% approval rating in the United States Senate. What?
The Senate ranks members, and according to your station on the news, she had a minus 75%.
Wait, the Senate.
I have not reported that today at all.
There you go, Gary.
Maybe it was another station. I don't know.
I'll look it up. I don't know what that means. The Senate ranks its members. What does that mean?
They have rankings.
Who's they?
The Senate. The Senate pro tem, I think, is probably the one that oversees it. Irregardless, if you didn't report it,
which is not a preferred word,
hear it from your station. Okay, we'll go past that. Where are the Chinese communists buying land in Tennessee?
It is currently illegal for the Chinese to buy agricultural land in the state of Tennessee. That legislation passed.
Why is she promoting that in her?
I've asked that question. I've asked that question on numerous occasions.
And what about she's been in political office. She's been in the Senate 8 years. She was in the state house for a number of years. I don't know if she was a state senator or not. I can't remember. But cutting through the red tape and bureaucrats, she's had plenty of opportunity to eliminate that and done nothing. So I think if you take her at what she's saying, it's empty promises. It's that simple. And I don't think we need a governor like that. I don't think we need a governor that had the highest opioid death rate in her district in the state and took $1.3 million that same year from Big Pharma. And I don't think that we need a governor who enriches their families through their office. So that's my opinion. And I really don't see that she's been such a great statesman for the state of Tennessee. She may get involved in things, but she doesn't initiate very much at all. She's great at getting her face in front of the camera. And as far as President Trump going, Marsha Blackburn loves Tennessee, and that's all political hype. I doubt President Trump knows very much about Marsha Blackburn. Other than that, when he calls her name, he can count on her support, maybe. That would be about it. But anyway, that's my opinion.
Gary, do you have a candidate in this race?
Not really. I was kind of leaning towards John Rose, but I think I'm going to switch over to Monty Fritz, who will just probably split the ticket, unfortunately, because there's a lot of, old voters in Tennessee that remember Marsha Blackburn from way back. And people just don't keep up with what their legislators are doing. They don't bother to look at their voting record. They don't bother to look at the roll call number of times present. They don't bother with a lot of things. The letter writing to President Biden, she wrote one letter about the people coming in the middle of the night in Chattanooga, the illegal aliens. One letter. And she's telling President Biden, what good did one letter coming from one U.S. Senator do? Nothing. Did absolutely nothing. They came in for a full year. A friend of mine is a ramp supervisor at Chattanooga, and it continued for a year. So there you go.
Well,
if you really pay attention to the facts, they don't look all that good for Marsha Black. And I voted for her. I voted for her back in 2008. I voted for her. I thought she was great.
If Marsha is would you consider yourself a conservative, Gary?
Somewhat, yes. Not a staunch conservative, but a conservative, yes.
If Marsha Blackburn is on the ballot in November, will you vote for her? Will you not vote? Have you thought about that?
You talking about if she wins the primary?
I mean, she is most likely going to win the primary. I mean,
most likely. But this.
Oh my goodness gracious! That is on me. I accidentally hit the button. I didn't mean to. That is an official premature caller ejection. I was going for something else, and I accidentally hit the button. I apologize, Gary. 27 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WGN. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Accurate Mortgage, AccurateMTG.com. Folks, if you need questions answered about your mortgage, if you're thinking about buying a home, if you perhaps are concerned about interest rates, maybe you want to renovate your current home or pay out high-interest credit card debt, let the loan advisors at Accurate Mortgage help you. Unlike the big online lenders at Accurate Mortgage, you're not just a number to make a quick buck. Accurate will never advise you on a loan that doesn't make sense for you financially. That's why they are your trusted local source for all things mortgages in this community. I used them when I bought a house in Mount Pleasant, and I want you to use them as well. They made it so easy. The process was simple. I mean, everything was at my fingertips, and I didn't feel like I was, frankly, folks, it was so easy. That's all I can tell you. It was as easy as can be. Accurate Mortgage. Visit them today at AccurateMTG.com. AccurateMTG.com. Accurate Mortgage and MLS 129944. Rates and terms subject to change. Equal housing lender. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Contours LLC. So it's summertime, and you've been wearing that bathing suit or that swimming attire. You've been out at the lake. Perhaps you've gone down to the beach with family, and you're just not satisfied with that summer bod. You're frustrated because you can't get rid of some of the, the paunches and the things in the stubborn areas, and you want to tighten the skin, you want to look younger, and you want to do it without needles, without surgery, without downtime. Contours is the place to go. They are the place that I recommend. And friends, right now, you have an opportunity. You've heard me talking about Contours. You've heard Dan Mandis talking about Contours. Now's a great opportunity for you to get in a special open house so you can see the patented red light technology. We invite you to see it for yourself this Saturday. Sign up for this. But I need you to RSVP if you will, to contoursllc.com. That's contoursllc.com, or give them a call at 615-236-9960. 236-9960. Sign up and visit us. The open house, it's low impact. It's Saturday from 11 until 1. We'd love to see you. Dan Mandis will be there. Matt Murphy will be there. The entire team. Plus, we'll have some refreshments and other things to tell you about. And you get to see the wonderful red light technology that is Contours. ContoursLLC.com to reserve your spot today.
Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. President Trump declaring the U.S. is renewing its blockade in the Strait of Hormuz after another day of strikes between the U.S. and Iran. ABC's Lama Hassan reports from London.
Iranian deputy foreign minister said on state TV, Tehran has no commitments when it comes to the Islamabad MOU that was signed with the U.S. He says they've not had any negotiations with the U.S. in the past month, adding that in wartime, they will fully manage the Strait of Hormuz. As for the latest attacks on the allies, the IRGC claims that it has hit targets in Bahrain and Kuwait.
That brief gas pain relief about to end, says Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy. He predicts the escalation between the U.S. and Iran could bring prices well above where they are now.
I do fully expect that the national average could get close to that $4 a gallon mark in the next week or 10 days.
Right now in Middle Tennessee, Gas Buddy says we're up 20 cents per gallon on average since last week. Immigration Customs Enforcement temporarily changing one of its most common enforcement tactics. Sources say agents have been directed to stop conducting most vehicle traffic stops after 2 recent fatal shootings in Maine and Texas, where both men involved were reportedly not the primary targets of the operations. Agency officials say officers with ICE will undergo additional training before that vehicle stopping policy is revisited. And one of the most popular minivans on the road is the subject of a new investigation from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. ABC's Mike Dubusky.
NHTSA has opened a new probe into the airbags on the Honda Odyssey. The agency says airbags can deploy while the vans are in motion, leading to injuries, and that this could affect more than 800,000 Odysseys made between 2010 and 2017. NHTSA says they're currently conducting a technical review.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Crashes on I-65, Metro Center, the right shoulder block there northbound past Rosa Parks Boulevard. And in Madison, the off-ramp block 65 northbound to Old Hickory Boulevard. Crash on I-40 westbound before Fessler's Lane. A crash on I-24 westbound past Murfreesboro Pike. Then in Hermitage, a wreck, Lebanon Pike at Tyler Drive. The Woodlands, an injury wreck, Old Hickory Boulevard at Woodland Hills Drive. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here. When it comes to your health, wouldn't you rather know what's going on inside of your body, or would you just want to hope that everything's okay? I think you would want to know, right? A lot of people feel great, but maybe they have no idea what's going on inside of their body, and perhaps knowing versus not knowing is something that sticks with you like it stuck with me. This is why I decided to check things out inside the body with Kraft Body Scan's incredible CT scan technology. Kraft Body Scan can look inside the body, non-invasive. It's about an 8-minute scan, and you will feel great afterwards. Why? Because you have information, right? Number one, first and foremost, likely they're going to say everything's A-okay, which is what they said to me, which is wonderful. And by the way, this scan only costs $99 for you and a friend, for you and a couple, your housemate, your married partner, your spouse. You can do it both for $99 if you use promo code MATT50. That's promo code MATT50. Go to togetherwescan.com, put in the promo code, and for $99, this is incredible savings. You can have the couple's heart and lung scan. That heart and lung scan can get you right in terms of your mind, and I encourage you to do it. 615-436-1000, 436-1000 for Kraft Body Scan. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Officer-involved shooting in Maine earlier this week. Immigration and Customs Enforcement doing their job. I'm curious what kind of world liberals want to live in. What kind of world, what kind of America do liberals want to live in? Apparently they want to live in an America that doesn't really have any borders, or at very least, anyone that gets into the country gets to stay if they illegally enter in here. They also want no ICE, no Immigration and Customs Enforcement, no ability for the American people to push back on the illegal alien activity that already exists here. And apparently they believe that it is permissible for you to run from the police, particularly if you're in your automobile. You can just leave, defy orders that the police are lawfully giving you, and let the chips fall where they may. That's the liberal mindset, apparently, if we are to believe their reaction to what happened in Maine. Of course, they're not really thinking that much, are they? More on that coming up in a moment on SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. Plus, I mentioned Jeremy Thompson, who will be with us. He's running for the 9th Congressional District seat that is being contested by the Republican. Well, I guess the Democrats have a primary as well. It's expected that Justin Pearson will win that one. The hotly contested Republican primary between Brent Taylor, Jeremy Thompson, Todd Warner, Charlotte Bergman. Why can't I remember? I just look it up, Murphy, for goodness sake. I can't remember it for some reason. In the meantime, is this the same Gary? Different Gary? I accidentally hung up on Gary, and people are mad at me for it. I didn't mean to. Let's go to new Gary. Hey, Gary. Gary. G-Man.
Yo.
Hi.
Yeah, no, sorry. This is David from Nashville. You got the wrong person. But I wanted to give you some information on the great income tax revolt of the 1990s.
Well, but stand by. Did you say David?
Yes.
Okay, very good, David. All right. Yes, David. Please go right ahead.
Okay. First of all, what that was, it was a backdoor, under the radar attempt by the certain people to pass an income tax in the state of Tennessee. All right. It was mostly Democrats and rhinos, including with the connivance of then Governor Sundquist. And Sundquist was a rhino of the worst type. By which I mean, he felt he was superior to everybody else. And what happened was it was kind of done in secret, where they were trying to push through that legislation to introduce an income tax. And Phil Valentine got wind of it, and that's how the whole great tax revolt got started. All right? And that's also when I started listening seriously to WWTN.
Yes, sir.
And so, Marsha Blackburn was also instrumental in preventing it from happening. And the legislature eventually backed down. But, we have to watch, just because somebody has a Republican in their name doesn't mean we can't, we can relax. We have to watch them, too. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you that that's what it was. It was a secret backdoor attempt to introduce an income tax, which Phil Valentine got wind of, and he was the one who essentially led the led the anti-tax revolt.
Yeah, I am familiar. At least I was familiar even at the time. And thank you, David, for the call and the information. With Phil's participation in all of that. And I know that he led the charge, and there were others. I think Steve Gill was on radio at that time, and he was a part of that. I think even Dave Ramsey got involved in it with SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. I think Ramsey was a part of it. But obviously, Phil was a major part of pushing back against that. I wasn't here for all of the particulars, but I do know that Phil and Marsha were friends at the time, and that Marsha was pretty involved in pushing back against it. Now, some are saying she came in late. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to relitigate it. The point was that previous caller, Gary, I said, Marsha has done some good things for the state. And this was in the midst of saying that I'm not going to vote for her in the primary because she refuses to debate, which, I feel like she owes it to the people of the state of Tennessee to offer herself under the white-hot spotlight of that format. That said, he asked, what has she done? And I answered. And apparently Gary's back, and I'll give Gary another 20 seconds or so to finish up the conversation. I didn't mean to hang up on you, Gary. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
I was asking you if Marsha was on the ballot in November, would you vote for her?
I would not. I don't know that I would vote for the Democrat, but I would not vote for her. I would not.
Okay.
She's been around too long. She's one of those politicians that we need to get rid of. There's a bunch of them out there that the people need to take out of office. They've been around way too long. Way, way too long. And while I'm on, I'd like to say one other thing. I moved here in 2008. They used to ask for your voting registration card. Our preliminary votes are, what are they called? I forget now. Just popped out of my head. the voting that we're about, our primaries. They used to ask you for your voter's registration card. And all of a sudden they stopped doing that. And I asked why they didn't take it anymore. It's just not necessary. And that's simply because it's an open primary, and that shouldn't be.
Wait, when did they ask you for your voter registration card?
Back in 2008.
So you received a voter registration card in Tennessee?
Yep, I've got it in my pocket. You want me to text it to you? I'll scan it and send it to you.
You signed a voter. I mean, so you're just talking about you're registered to vote. You're not talking about like a party affiliated.
Yes, it tells that what your party affiliation is.
Oh, does it?
Then all of a sudden they quit asking for it.
Wait, so I don't think
Tennessee.
The only reason I'm asking is I don't think Tennessee's ever been a closed primary state.
Well, it may have not been closed, but they asked you so they could give you the correct, I guess maybe the correct ballot. I'm not sure, but we ought to be closed. This business about people going back and forth is not right. It's just simply not right.
Yeah. So there is no party. There is no party registration in the state of Tennessee. It's all. I mean, I know that, and I don't think there ever has been. I mean, obviously you have to register to vote, but I don't think your registration to vote has any party distinction or party affiliation associated with it.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But I think back in 2008, it very well may have. Otherwise, why did they ask for it? You had to give them your card in 2008.
Well, this was before voter ID, so they needed to make sure that you were actually registered to vote. Generally, right? So, yeah, I mean that would make sense. One way or the other, Gary. I appreciate you calling back. I'm sorry that I hung up on you.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, man.
Quite all right, Matt.
All right. Hey, thank you, and thank you for listening, and I appreciate you, and I intended to hang up on you that time. I hang up on just about everybody that I talk with on the radio show because that's kind of the way that radio shows work, but I hate to have a premature caller ejection. Ron is next. Hey, Ron, how are you?
Ditto to what David said at the time during when they were trying to pass that state income tax. Phil Valentine, who my mother absolutely adored at the time. They're both in heaven now. He led the charge of that, like you said, along with Steve Gill and Dave Ramsey. I was down there myself with my semi-truck going back and forth in front of the Capitol.
Honking those horns, baby.
My air horn.
That's right.
So if there's any intimation at all, from what I caught, what Gary said, that the people of the Tennessee didn't have a choice in that matter, it's just false because there was a lot of opposition to it at the time. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, yes, sir, Mr. Ron. I appreciate your call very much. Let's talk to James, who is next up. James, good afternoon. Welcome.
Yes, sir. We used to have a party registration card. When you walked up there, if you were Republican, you got a Republican ballot. If you were a Democrat, you got a Democrat ballot.
Yeah, you asked for it. That's the same as right now.
No, you had the card. They actually issued a card. Oh, I still got her card.
And it says what on it? Democrat or Republican?
Democrat or Republican. Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Would you send me a photo of it?
I'll see if we can dig it up. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know that there's voter registration cards, but I don't think Tennessee's ever been a closed primary state. And the only reason for you to be issued a Republican or a Democrat registration card is in a closed primary situation.
She's arguing with you over here. I don't hear her or not.
I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm just telling you the only reason why they would issue you a Democrat or a Republican specific registration card is in a closed primary situation.
Correct. Now, I don't know about the closed primary part, but I do know it did have Republican on it or Democrat because that's what the ballot was.
I would love to see.
I'll see if I can dig it up and get it to you, sir.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I'm not arguing with anybody. I got here in 2021. It's an open primary state. I have had conversations with people that, like from Alabama. Alabama is an open primary state as well. I had conversations with people where people swore to me that they registered to vote. And I was like, well, where did you go register to vote? I don't remember, but I registered as a Republican. I don't think you registered as a Republican. I think you just registered to vote. No, I registered as a Republican. I understand that you're a Republican, and I understand that you voted in the Republican primary, but I don't think you registered as a Republican. I think you just registered to vote, and they would get mad and argue with me. So I'm not arguing with anybody about Tennessee politics because I wasn't here before 2021. So I'm not trying to argue, but I am suggesting that they just ask which ballot you want in the primary. You get a voter registration card, but I would challenge you to look and see if it says R or D on it, and I don't think it does. I know mine doesn't. That's, yes, 1972, you're right. That's the idea of card-carrying Republican came from closed primary states. That's right. Voter registration and voter cards have changed through the years in Tennessee. I understand that. Open primary state, but it used to have your representatives district and your Senate. Yeah. I mean, the confusion is you get a voter registration. I'm not trying to belabor this point because I don't think it doesn't mean very much one way or the other, but and I promise you I'm not trying to argue with anybody about it. I just understand that memories are what they are, and I've had these discussions in the past. In open primary states, you do not register as a Republican or a Democrat. That's the entire premise behind a closed primary, where you have to register in advance. The reason that I know that in an open primary state you don't register as a Democrat or Republican is because on primary day, on August 6th, when you walk to the polls, they'll say Republican or Democrat ballot, and you can vote for either one you want. You don't get to vote for both. You get to vote for either one that you want. And I don't believe that Tennessee's ever been a closed primary state. Someone with a little more history can certainly disabuse me if that is the case. 0930, I got my first card in 94, no party on it. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I just think memories are very strange things. 52 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hi, friends. Dr. Kevin Mitchell and the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Friends, they are good at what they do. They don't like pain very much over there at the Wellness Institute. Pain comes through the door, and they're going to knock that pain out. And if you walk through the door and you've got pain associated with your back, your knees, your hips, your neck, your elbows, wherever it might hurt, they're going to help alleviate that pain without utilizing surgery or injections or painkillers. They don't believe in it. They want to do it in a natural fashion, and they do it every single day. Go to painisbad.com. That's painisbad.com to find out more. I've got a telephone number for you as well. Did you know that the Epic Spinal Special is continuing with $33 off every visit? Did you know that you can ask about the Medical Bay One, which is an incredible futuristic healing machine that massages your body while healing the body? It's what it does. Folks, I encourage you, the Wellness Institute of Nashville is the tip of the spear when it comes to alleviating your pain and making sure that you can live a life of your own choosing. Pain-free is possible with the Wellness Institute. Give them a call today at 615-246-5009, 246-5009, or painisbad.com.
The U.S. attacking Iran again. Iran claiming it's attacking other countries, some of our allies in all of this. And cases of that explosive diarrhea surging in the U.S. A lot of focus on Michigan now to try to find the source. We'll tell you about these stories and more at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy Show. Getting to know our next guest, Jeremy Thompson, who is running in the 9th Congressional District race, the Republican primary to be held on August 6th. I sadly will not be voting in that. Well, I say sadly. I mean, it just shook out that my new adopted hometown of Mount Pleasant will still remain in the 5th Congressional District, so I'll be voting in that congressional primary. But very interested in what Jeremy has to say regarding his run in the 9th Congressional District, and we'll get into that in moments from now. Do not go anywhere, Karen or Derek or Bell or Larry. We'll get to your calls as well, talking voter registration. Folks, I've had this discussion for a long time, and once again, I'm not... People get so mad because I say things that go against their memories. But Tennessee has been an open primary state for ever. I don't know that it's ever had a closed primary. I'm not saying I'm against a closed primary. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't have a problem with closed primaries. What I'm telling you is that in an open primary state, you don't have a party registration card. You have a voter registration card, but you don't have a party registration card. And when you go to the primary on August 6th, they'll ask you Republican or Democrat ballot, and you have to pick. I bet our next guest wants you to pick Republican if you're in District Number 9. He is Jeremy Thompson, and he'll be with us in moments on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Trump says the U.S. is renewing its blockade in the Strait of Hormuz after another day of strikes between the U.S. and Iran. ABC's Lama Hassan reports from London.
The IRGC claims that it has hit targets in Bahrain and Kuwait. In a statement that was released by the IRGC, they say in this third wave of attacks, they hit weapons storage sheds, an enemy ship, as well as aircraft parts, and destroying or damaging a number of drones. The Kuwaiti Armed Forces, they say these latest attacks injured 4 members of its Navy. They say that they shot down 6 missiles and 33 drones.
Cases of that severe intestinal illness are surging in the U.S. Here in Tennessee and 31 other states reporting cases of cyclosporiasis. In Michigan, health officials there say more than 3,000 people are infected and sick with it. ABC News medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton.
The preliminary results that we've gotten from Michigan, because they're dealing with the height of this outbreak. We also see referrals or notes from places like Taco Bell, for example. They've said that they're going to voluntarily and temporarily remove certain ingredients, but they also note that the Department of Health has not found a definitive link between any of their products and this outbreak. Also important to understand that in prior outbreaks, it usually is multiple different outbreaks at the same time.
Yeah, cyclosporiasis symptoms include severe nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, and those symptoms don't show up until 2 weeks after one is infected. Here in Nashville, Metro Code shutting down what neighbors described as an illegal backyard fight club in Hermitage. Councilman Jordan Huffman telling News 2 residents complained for months about large crowds, noise, unsanctioned fights.
Phrases like, fight him, kill him, and it's terrible. It's an unsanctioned fight where people being charged at the door, prize money being on the line. There's been accounts of individuals getting hurt, some underage.
Yeah, Codes officials say the property owners agreed to stop the events, but inspectors will continue monitoring the location. A prominent genetic testing company settling a major case brought by 43 state attorneys general. ABC's Mike Dabusky with more.
23andMe has agreed to pay out $18 million to settle a case over a data breach that exposed the personal genetic information of nearly 7 million people. Much of that data wound up for sale on the dark web, putting people at risk of being hacked or having their identities stolen. The settlement also includes requirements for the company to implement stricter data privacy measures. 23andMe 23andMe filed for bankruptcy last year and was eventually sold to a nonprofit created by 23andMe's former CEO. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Madison got that crash. The off-ramp blocked 65 northbound to Old Hickory Boulevard. In South Nashville, left shoulder block 24 westbound past Murfreesboro Pike. Hermitage, a crash, Lebanon Pike at Tyler Drive. The Woodlands, an injury accident, Old Hickory Boulevard at Woodland Hills. And then in Hermitage, injury crash, Old Hickory Boulevard at Juarez Drive. And in Nashville, Nolensville Pike just north of Tusculum Road. I'm Ken Weaver.
All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Radio Show continues halfway home this Tuesday, July 14, 2026. You know, yesterday I failed to mention, my goodness gracious. You know what yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of, Jackson? I'm sorry. Did I say 2? Yeah, 2-year anniversary of. You don't remember? Butler, Pennsylvania. And I forgot it yesterday. 2 years ago yesterday, there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, and it's amazing how much has gone down in those 2 years since that assassination attempt. A lot going on. World's moving at a fast clip, folks. And August 6th will be here before you know it, and we want to make you the most informed public on planet Earth and in the state of Tennessee, right? I want to make sure that you walk into the polls, and I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I will say I want you to be as informed as humanly possible when you cast your ballot, wherever you might be across the great state of Tennessee. And in that effort,
We are inviting as many candidates as will come on the show with us up until August 6th, prior to the primary, to let us know what they're about, why they're running, what they want to accomplish, whether it be on Capitol Hill and the General Assembly, wherever they might be. We want to make sure that we get you aware of all of these candidates. And toward that end, Jeremy Thompson is with us. He's running in the 9th Congressional District. And without further ado, we say welcome to Jeremy to the program.
Thank you, Matt, for having us on. We're excited about this.
Well, it's exciting to have you here. We were talking right before the interview that I made a trek through your fine hometown of Fayetteville just a couple of weeks ago. Beautiful place.
Yes, sir. We've lived there our entire life. We love it. We're raising a family there, and we encourage people to do the same.
Tell us a little about yourself, your family, and what has led you to this point.
Yeah, born and raised in Fayetteville, Lincoln County, Tennessee. We live on a small farm there where we have a 19-year-old son who will go to UT Knoxville in the fall, and our 14-year-old daughter, Eden, will move into Lincoln County High School. And Lindsay and I both worked for government. I had a 22-year career with the National Guard, Army National Guard, on Title 32 AGR active duty. And we, after I retired in 2022, went on a brief intelligence contract and now work for a military nonprofit out of D.C., shaping federal-level legislation for Veterans Affairs and National Security Advisory.
And on the side, you've got a restaurant down there.
We've got the Revolutionary Tavern. And,
I say on the side. I don't want to diminish what you're doing.
The Revolutionary Tavern. We came up with the Revolutionary Tavern because there was a pre-existing restaurant tavern there, and we had this bigger vision for it. So when we took it over, we kind of themed it after the Revolutionary War. Benjamin Lincoln is what Lincoln County is named after, and he served second in command to George Washington with the Continental Army and received the surrendered sword at Yorktown when the war ended. And then Marquis de Lafayette was a 19-year-old Frenchman that came over to fight in the Revolutionary War.
Wait, so Lincoln County is named from Benjamin Lincoln. And so I know this. Is he from there?
No,
they just named it after him.
Yeah, they named it after him. Yeah. Lincoln County was founded in 1809.
Got you.
So he was still alive at that point, but I think he died maybe in 1810, 1811.
All right, educate me if I'm wrong here, Jeremy, but I think my history is correct. That Washington designated Lincoln to accept the sword because old boy wouldn't. Cornwallis wouldn't.
That's right.
He got sick.
Yeah, backed out.
So you got to love this about Washington. Washington's like, oh, your second in command is going to give me my sword? Yeah, my second in command will take it. Thanks very much.
That's right. And the actual sword that was surrendered is on display where you can actually visit and see it in D.C.
Wow.
At the American Military Museum.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So what, experience within, military circles, obviously, and with government circles, but what would lead you to cast your hat in the ring in the 9th Congressional District?
So we've been evaluating this for 10, 15 years now, and we saw a catastrophic event take place, in my opinion, in 2008, 2009, when the country decided that Barack Obama would be the best president for the United States. And I felt like I knew that night what the next 8 years was going to look like when he said we were going to fundamentally transform the United States of America. I, under no circumstances, felt like we needed fundamental transformation. And what that's turned into is a war on police. Nobody gets held accountable anymore. Everybody gets to do what they want to do. We sequestered our military. We traded traitors for terrorists. We gave money in the middle of the night to our enemies. We shifted cultural ideology to where we have to believe now that we don't have enemies. We absolutely have enemies, and our enemies have to be met face to face and eliminated, because there is a difference between good and evil, and that's what I've seen infiltrate politics over the last 10 or 15 years.
Were you thinking along these lines prior to the Supreme Court decision that kind of led to the redrawing of the district lines? Was this something that was on your mind and on your heart prior to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd gotten to know several legislators at the federal level in the House and Senate, working with House Armed Services and Senate Armed Services. And Scott Desjardins is someone that I've consulted with over time and developed a relationship with. But I talked to him briefly over time about what it might look like to run for the 4th District at some point. We did not know that we were going to wake up one Thursday morning and have a completely redrawn district with no Republican incumbent. So Lindsay and I discussed it really quickly, made a few quick phone calls, and then I started calling the election office. They didn't even have the petitions yet. I had to wait till like 4 or 5 o'clock that evening to draw a petition. And we've been in fast forward and 100 miles an hour ever since then.
You and I just met one another, but I've said for a long time in my world, doing what I do on the radio, that To meet a politician is, generally speaking, to like them. I mean, it's almost part of the job description is that you've got to be able to meet people and speak to them and be personable. And so none of this is personal when I say this. One of your opponents, Brent Taylor, almost seemed, and I like Brent. I've had him on the show plenty. But it almost seemed like a coronation. Did you get that impression? I mean, because it was hours after these redrawn districts were decided upon that he announced that he was running in the 9th Congressional District. And it felt like, there was some prior knowledge as to how all of that would shake out. Maybe there was. I don't know. Give me your impression of all of that. And were you already down the road in making your decision, or did that impact you in any way?
It didn't impact me much at all. I did take very serious note of it because I think he had been endorsed by the 2 senators and half the state legislature within hours of his announcement. And then the very next morning, I think, said that he had dropped $1 million into his own campaign account. Well, your average American does not have that capability, and you generally don't have months to lead up to an emergency session where districts are redrawn to make you a valid candidate either. So, this is something that's been on our radar for a long time, but it's not for politics. I'm not a politician. I told the crowd that I was in front of this morning, I've always been a soldier and a patriot of this nation. I believe that we've run away with government. We've run away with politics. I'm not down for coattail politics anymore. It's not going to get the job done. We're going to lose our country if we don't start focusing on the things that are killing it.
So the big divide when we're talking about national political issues would be obviously domestic and foreign. And I'll create those divisions in asking this question. What is the biggest, in your opinion, domestic issue in front of the United States of America?
Yeah, so I want to address something really quickly because I've done a lot of research and study on this, and I'd encourage other people to do the same. We've never defined domestic enemy. We swear our politicians and we swear our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines to an oath, but we've never defined what a domestic enemy is to hold it accountable. The West Point did a study one time, and they wrote a white paper report on what a domestic enemy could be defined as. But we've never defined it. We've never held it accountable. We seem too weak to do that when it comes to domestic issues. But I would say that the biggest domestic threat to the United States is how we've abandoned our public education system and how we're not educating children at the most basic level how to love this country, how to know what this country was founded on, the hurdles we've achieved, the things that we've accomplished, what we've done around the world in the name of freedom. And we cannot continue to produce people graduating high school and college in this country that can't basically read, write, academically, vocationally qualified, and are taught that we're everything but a pro-life, pro-American, pro-freedom country.
Do you applaud the idea under the Trump administration, particularly in the second term, of bringing that public education back to the states? I feel like it's an appropriate place to be, away from the federal government, away from the Department of Education.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that's where we started to fail, is when we look, we're too big. Government's gotten too big. If you want to know where the power is in the United States political spectrum is right now, it is no longer in the power of the people's hands. It's in the power of the politicians' hands. And it was never framed to be that way. We have got to immediately start having hard conversations in the United States government, in the House, the Senate, and the executive, and the judiciary across this country. It got turned upside down by Barack Obama. That was strategic on his part. It was very smart for achieving what he wanted to achieve, which I think is to expedite the socialist, Marxist, and communist ideology in this country. But we don't hold anything accountable anymore, and I think that's the fundamental problem in this country. Nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants to stand in the gap, and we tiptoe around conversations that we should be meeting head on.
I've long said, and I'm curious your thoughts on it, that the greatest existential threat that the United States of America faces, and I include foreign threat as well as domestic threat, is our inability to stop spending fake money.
Absolutely.
And I wonder, as the next representative of the 9th Congressional District, how you would bring that message, if you agree with that premise that the amount of overspending, I mean, we have added, it's hard to contemplate, but I've said it until I'm blue in the face, in 10 years, and most of this is under Republican control.
I got it, yeah.
We have added $19 trillion. We've doubled the national debt in 10 years. It's completely unsustainable. Nobody wants to talk about it. do you agree with the premise? And then what would you bring to the 9th Congressional District to tackle it?
A couple of things I'd address here. And a lot of people don't even know what a CBO is, but that's the Congressional Budgeting Office. Any legislation that's passed in the United States House and Senate goes through the CBO to see if it's affordable or if we can afford it. Now, we passed a law in 1974 that said we would hold ourselves accountable in the United States Congress. It was called the Congressional Budget Act of 1974. I think 38 years between then and now, we have failed to produce a budget to the President of the United States. That's a catastrophic failure on the part of those that we are electing and sending to these offices. We can't get away with that. Me and you can't get away with that. We would be bankrupt, imprisoned, or homeless if we managed our accounts that way. So if we want our country to be bankrupt, imprisoned, or in debt to another nation, or completely fall apart from the inside out, we can just keep doing what we want to do or how we've previously done it. But if we don't, if we want to save this country and start turning things around, we start budgeting appropriately to the income that we have. I think our annual revenue is somewhere between 5.5 trillion. We're carrying a $1 trillion debt. And we have somewhere between $6 and $7 trillion a year in expenditures right now, with no accountability inside.
Look, I'm an old man now. When I was a younger fella in college, I remember the contract with America, Newt Gingrich, and the Republican Revolution of the early 1990s, mid-1990s. And I remember that the balanced budget concept was front and center, and a balanced budget amendment was front and center. We don't seem to be talking about that very much anymore, Jeremy.
No, not at all. That's where we have to start. I tell this story sometimes. I want to be respectful of it because he is now passed and gone. But I got to interact with Senator John McCain on national security issues back in the day. And I walked in one year and to advocate military and national security affairs. And he very arrogantly said, what can I do for you this year? And I said, well, how about nothing until you know how to present a reasonable budget? And it reshaped the entire conversation. It got his attention. He sat up in his chair, and we had a real conversation about what money was going to look like for the totality of government, but specifically for national security and how we were going to fund our United States military and upper intelligence apparatus moving forward.
I want to shift gears to foreign affairs just because I look at the clock, and we've only got about 10 more minutes, and I've got to take a short time out here in a second. But where are you on the engagement in Iran?
So I said early on that the President of the United States will and always has had the ability to conduct military operations as he sees fit for national security under Article 2 of the Constitution. I think that's what he has exercised here. Now, I had hoped that we would go the 60 days or the additional 30, reaching 90 for some kind of resolution here. Now, it's my understanding that that's been reset, justifiably reset. At the end of the day, Congress has the power to declare war on our nation's enemies. But Iran has not been held accountable since 1979. They've killed Americans around the world. They've been the center state sponsor of terrorism around the world. They've partnered with China and every other anti-American entity on the planet to try to make sure that we fail. So President Trump realized this. Marco Rubio realized this. Certainly Pete Hegseth realized this. And they got out in front of it. And they're holding our enemies accountable. They're identifying our enemies and holding them accountable. Now, what I think an end state has to look like is something not like what we've done in the last 20 to 25 years. We can't occupy Iran. We can't continue to regime change. Those things really shouldn't be entertained or on the table, I don't think. But I equate this to spanking our kids when they do wrong or they do something incredibly disrespectful or unsafe. Sometimes you have to get whipped a little bit to get your attention, get you back in shape.
My greatest fear, Jeremy, is that the strength that Donald Trump, our president, brings to the table, his skill in negotiating and positioning himself, and in this case, the United States of America, in the best possible way to achieve a more permanent peace, to achieve a non-nuclear Iran, to achieve a free and open Strait of Hormuz, all of those things. His ability to do those negotiations are predicated on the idea that you have honest actors sitting across the table, and I think it's regularly demonstrated that we don't, which is what I fear is going to create a long, almost quag type situation.
Quagmire, yeah.
And I don't think anybody wants that. So what role does Congress have at some point? Is it up to Congress to step in and say, Mr. President, we've got to have a say in this, otherwise you can't continue doing what you're doing?
I would generally, under normal circumstances, say yes. But Congress is so dysfunctional right now because we send people who are very unqualified for the job from the simple principle of just not even loving this country anymore. And if we keep electing people into the United States Congress, we'll keep getting the same results. What I would say is we got to go beyond Congress at this point and wake the people up. We keep talking about wokeism and are you awake and are you watching the political process? The answer is absolutely not. The answer is we elect people and we send them to take on our political affairs at the local, state, and federal level, and we only get mad or angry about something when it affects our checkbooks directly through a tax increase or a tax shift or some kind of local, state, or federal project that interrupts our backyard physically, a highway or eminent domain or a data center or whatever the case may be. That's when we get mad and we want to be accountable to government. We have to be accountable to government, or not accountable to government. Government has to be accountable to us every single day.
His name is Jeremy Thompson. He's running in the 9th Congressional District. Quick timeout, and we'll follow up in just a few moments with a few other questions. If you have any questions, get them in on the super text line, 615-737-9986. I feel like I buried the lead because I just looked at Jeremy's website. And are you JeremyThompson.com?
That's right.
See, my goodness gracious, if you're able to get, that's not your name is not particularly uncommon, and you got JeremyThompson.com.
That's
Congratulations.
Right. Yeah, we worked hard on that. And yeah,
I often say there's a P in Jeremy's name. I'm from Thompson, Georgia. Okay. You don't know this about me because you don't listen to my show. I'm from Thompson, Georgia, and I regularly say I'm from Thompson, Thomson, no P in Thompson.
I got you.
So there's a P in this Thompson.
There is.
JeremyThompson.com. We'll talk more with Jeremy in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for U.S. Past. I've been warning J.K. Brister, owner of U.S. Past, that I'm getting him down to Mount Pleasant very soon because I've got a few questions about my new home. You know, we got the home in February. Not really concerned about the bugs and the creepy crawlies at that point, but now they're starting to present themselves in the midst of summer, right? Bugs are little communists, right? They want they want to come into your home. They don't want to pay for anything, and they want to take what's yours. They want to enjoy the cool when the cool air is available. They want to enjoy the heat in the midst of winter. They want to enjoy your food always, and they want to make baby bugs in your walls. Let's not let this happen. Let's call J.K. and Erica Brister at U.S. Pest. I love this company, and I say often, when you see a billboard in town, when you hear me talking about them, when you see their little logo on the Super Talk television side of things, you'll see that American flag there because they love the United States of America and they hate bugs. So if it's spiders, roaches, termites, whatever it might be, they can handle it. Just give them a call. If you have current service and you're not satisfied, or if you don't currently have service, go to uspest.com, uspest.com, or call 590-1260. 590-1260 for our friends at U.S. Pest. Here's the deal. When I first sat down with Shane Ring of Cover Nash, Shane said, Murphy, you know why health insurance policies are so confusing? And I'm like, well, you know, there's a lot of ins and outs and blah, 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 and deductibles and, you know, PPOs and all these things. And he goes, no, cut through all of that. They're confusing because the health insurance people want them to be. They want them to be because they want you to stick with the same policy that you've got. They don't want you to make any changes because then they know. They want that assurance that you're going to be with them for the long term. That's where Shane Ring and Cover Nash comes in, because he doesn't work for any of these folks, but he has 75 plus plans and policies available for him in Brentwood, Tennessee, where his offices are, ready to go. So what that means is that he truly becomes your personal healthcare concierge. He figures out what you have, if anything. Then he works through the best policies for you, the best policies for your family, and he understands these things backwards and forwards and can explain it to you as well. So if you're currently uninsured, if you are tired of paying too much, if you're self-employed, let's give Shane Ring a call. Let him sit down and work with you today. He can do it in person or over the phone. 465-0023 is the telephone number, 615-465-0023, or online at covernash.com. Covernash.com. Real health coverage managed by you, not by the government.
America may be one step closer to not having to change clocks twice a year. We'll tell you about it coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A few seconds left in this segment, and Jeremy has been gracious enough. It occurred to me, Jackson, well, we were talking during the break there, and I was like, hey, is it okay if we shift nincompoops just a little bit so Jeremy can stick around for a little while longer? And it occurred to me, I never asked Jeremy if that was okay with him. So I guess we're just going to assume that that's okay with Jeremy. Is that okay with you?
Fine, thank you.
Jeremy Thompson, online at jeremythompson.com. He's running for the U.S. Congress in the 9th Congressional District. We'll take a short time out, do some news, take care of a couple of bills, and then we'll be back with Jeremy. Many of your questions are coming in on the Super Text line, and I will get to each of them with our guest, Jeremy Thompson, right after this on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Trump declaring the U.S. renewing its blockade in the Strait of Hormuz after another day of strikes between the U.S. and Iran. ABC's Karen Travers reports from our nation's capital.
That blockade had been lifted because of the deal that the U.S. and Iran signed last month. The president said, I gave them a chance, referring to Iran, but we have seen those continued strikes by Iran at commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. And now we've seen CENTCOM say that there have been another round of U.S. strikes aimed at degrading Iran's capabilities to attack commercial ships in the strait.
The U.S. House has passed a bill that would make daylight saving time permanent and end the twice-yearly clock changes. The measure, known as the Sunshine Protection Act, passed by a vote of 308 to 117. Supporters say more evening daylight would benefit families, businesses, and recreation. The bill now heads to the Senate, where its fate remains uncertain. Here in Nashville, officials optimistic this new federal housing law that went into effect over the weekend will bring more tools to Tennessee communities struggling with rising home prices and rents. News 2's Liz DeSantis says it levels the playing field.
The Tennessee Housing Development Agency study found 1 in 5 Davidson County home sales in 2020 went to investors. Supporters say the new federal law takes a step towards addressing those pressures.
Anything that we can do to kind of incentivize those deals to kind of pencil out is going to just, by proxy, bring down the cost of housing.
Supporters say this law won't make home prices drop tomorrow, but they hope it will help cities like Nashville build more housing, preserve more affordable homes, and give more Tennesseans a fair shot at owning one.
Yeah, Metro leaders say Nashville needs about 90,000 additional homes over the next 10 years to keep up with growth and help ease housing costs. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Madison, this crash still causing a big backup. It's the off-ramp right shoulder block, 65 northbound to Old Hickory Boulevard. In Glencliff, a crash, 40 eastbound at Spence Lane. Harpeth River got a crash, Highway 100 just east of Old Harding Pike. Then in Bellevue, a crash, Highway 70 south at Old Hickory Boulevard. Belmont area crash, 440 westbound past Hillsborough Pike, 21st Avenue. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Craft Body Scan. Folks, I mentioned the $99 special, and I want to reiterate it. It's so important that you understand this is an incredible opportunity for you and your loved one to figure out what's going on in your body. So I did this a couple of years ago. I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac. I've mentioned that from time to time. And, I'm pretty convinced that I'm dying at any moment. And so I went to Craft Body Scan when this $99 availability opened up, and I'm so happy that I did. I've also done a full body scan at Craft Body Scan. What that means is it's a CT scan. It can look into your body. The couples heart and lung scan is pretty cool. It'll look over your lungs, look over your heart. It doesn't get inside. I mean, it's non-invasive. You don't take your clothes off or anything. It lasts for about 8 minutes. And then then they give you a full heart analysis with calculus and all of these types of things, a full lung analysis to make sure that there's nothing there that you need to concern yourself with. And if you do the full body scan, they even go into other parts of the body. So sign up today. You need to use promo code MATT50. That's promo code MATT50. Go to togetherwescan.com and use that promo code, $99 for both you and your loved one. Couples heart and lung scan at Craft Body Scan. 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000. I've had Jeremy Thompson on for like 30 minutes. I've yet to ask him about daylight saving time. My goodness, that's back up. That's in that. I mean, the House keeps passing it. The Senate won't do anything with it. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, 37 after the hour. Jeremy Thompson, our guest. He's running for U.S. Congress in the 9th Congressional District. We'll have everybody on from the 9th. We've had Brent Taylor on. We've got Jeremy on. If Todd wants to come on, he's welcome. If Ms. Bergman wants to come on, she's welcome as well, because we want to make you the most informed listening audience on planet Earth. So when you go to the polls and you vote for one of these candidates, you feel sure that you're voting for the right person to do the job of the 9th Congressional District. So we were talking about the foreign adversaries and the reset that's going on right now with Donald Trump in the Middle East. Are you concerned about the political fallout? Because I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree with it. I do think that there needs to be a reset. I do think someone around the globe is going to be the superpower. And if it's not America, then another nation, probably China, will step in and try to fill that void. But I am concerned that it's going to impact the midterm elections in a way that will almost nullify the last 2 years of the Trump administration. Do you share those concerns?
Yeah, I share those concerns. I think the midterm elections are incredibly important to sustaining this pro-American agenda that we put in place. I think it's important for the next 24 months that we at least try to sustain that in some way. I mean, we will not be able to do it if we don't win the midterms. So when I talk about mobilizing or energizing the Republican Party, even those moderates out there that are leaning one way or the other, I would tell you, if you want our United States of America to survive and reset itself on the world stage as the greatest superpower on the planet, and that's important. That's important to the prosperity and freedom around the world. I don't care what you've been told lately. I don't care what you think you learned in school. I don't care what you think you learned in college. The United States of America sets the stage to be the greatest nation on earth. We are the only ones that spread freedom around the world. We are not tyrants. We do not go become a police state. We go try to make sure that people are held accountable to good and evil. And if you don't want the United States of America to be that country, what country is it that you want it to be? So Ronald Reagan said that we're one generation away from extinction. We need to take that very seriously right now. We need to understand what those words mean. And we also need to understand that there's morality in the United States Constitution and the men and women who developed it. I think John Adams said that the Constitution of the United States is wholly inadequate for an immoral or non-religious person. Give that some thought. Give that some thought when you think about who you're going to elect or vote for this election cycle. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out and study. Do some Google searches on those of us who are running, and make sure you make the right selection.
Yesterday, the president endorsed one of your opponents in the race. That can't be a good thing to read necessarily if you're on the campaign trail, and the biggest name in American politics is endorsing an opponent of yours.
Yeah, I watched the other people on the ticket kind of take a back seat. We're not taking a back seat in this election. Donald Trump does not know Jeremy Thompson, and he don't know Brent Taylor. He knows what he's heard about Brent Taylor, and Brent Taylor is a sitting state senator, and I understand the endorsement and the relationship, but I'm not here for coattail politics. I'm here to go make a difference in the United States government and our future way forward. That's what I'm here for.
How do you do that in a way that's unique, special, and different than, for example, Senator Taylor or any of the other candidates in the race?
Well, I'm not a politician, for one, and I really never endeavored to be a politician, but I don't like what I see going on in politics or the United States government. We take more and more power away from the people every day. The people out there working hard just to make ends meet deserve a representative that is going to go to D.C. and make positive changes on their behalf and move the needle to where they can get some relief and actually move forward. I can't drop $1 million in my campaign account. Do you think somebody going to D.C. that has that capability and has stocks and bonds and investments for what's seemingly endless money really, truly is connected to the people and understands what they're going through?
I was never that big of a fan of Senator Lindsey Graham. I'm not going to speak ill of a man who just lost his life. I appreciate his call to service, particularly his military service, but then by extension, his political service. But at the same time, you mentioned the money involved in politics. I read a story this morning that he was worth $1.4 million at the time of his death, which is shockingly low.
It is.
For someone who has been in political service that long, because sadly, it is often the case that people go to Washington, D.C., and suddenly folks that were worth, $800,000, $900,000, $1 million are now worth $20 and $30 and $40 million. It's amazing how good at investment they become when they get to Washington,
Right.
D.C.
Yeah. That's not what those seats are there for. Those seats are there to potentially become less rich and be of service to the people. That's what those positions are there for.
I mean, you seem like the type of guy, just talking with you, Jeremy, that you believe that the federal government should be serving less in terms of the balance between federal, state, and local. I mean, is that a fair assessment where you are?
I think the United States Constitution and the Supremacy Clause puts the power in the hands of the states and the state elected officials. There's a lot of power at the state level. The federal legislator's job is to keep federal government out of state and people level business. It's to be there as a stopgap for national emergencies, to make sure that we have savings accounts for things that may go wrong in this country, to make sure that we're helping people sustain life after retirement. I don't believe in socialized health care, but I believe in healthcare systems that create free market society and they're not overwhelmed or price gouged to the point where we can't afford them. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in the United States Congress, and I don't see a whole lot of people doing the work.
I mean, how do you spread that message of, hey, I'm going to Washington, D.C. to say no a lot? I mean, that's what I want out of my congressman.
Yeah.
But I think in 2026, it's probably a more difficult sell than it ever has been.
That's right. In 2026, nobody wants to be the bad guy. I think I said that earlier in the show. Sometimes you have to be the bad guy and say no and hold lines of accountability. Sometimes we have to concentrate more on what we need versus what we want. And I think that is something that's been busted and broken in the United States Congress for a very long time.
Clearly in your life right now, Veterans Affairs and helping our veterans that have given so much is a priority for you. Will you carry that to Washington, D.C.?
100%. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, talk to me about the other priorities on your mind as you seek the vote of the people of the 9th Congress.
Yeah, I get asked often, what my top three would be. I said earlier that I think the greatest threat to national security is how we're failing to properly educate and support our K through 12 public education. We have to start producing vocationally, academically, and patriotic people again. That's just, if we're going to sustain as a nation and grow forward, that's got to be a top priority. I think number two is securing agriculture, because we're being infiltrated and overwhelmed by our enemies. China is coming in and buying up land. They're securing and trying to dominate markets. And we got to get out in front of that. And we got to put favorability back in our farmers' hands. That's going to be big in the 9th District. You have to understand farmers and how they're suffering. And we can't subsidize corporate farmers. We have to if we're going to subsidize or draw a balance, we're going to have to find some equal measurability across the spectrum, all the way down to the small level farmer. But farming and agriculture and securing agriculture so we can feed our nation without dependence on foreign partners or adversaries is important to me. And then probably last but certainly not least is just the overall national security spectrum and apparatus, to make sure it gets back accountable, that systems aren't weaponized against a political party or a political candidate, that we are objective and apolitical, or a law enforcement.
Did you see that report that is now out, Jack Smith, the authorization that he had through the Department of Justice to literally spy on sitting U.S. senators and read their text messages? It just came out, I think, this morning. It was out this morning, where under Joe Biden's Department of Justice, Jack Smith was authorized to access without their I think Senator Marsha Blackburn was one of them, and others. I mean, this is the type of government infiltration into the privacy of, if they're doing it with their United States senators, my goodness gracious, what are they doing with us?
It gets back to the accountability piece, and I'm going to say it over and over and over. If you want somebody to go start holding hard lines of accountability, send Jeremy Thompson to the United States Congress, because that's what I'm here for. Otherwise, I'll go back home and I'll watch everybody else try to do it from a distance. But this is where I'm at on that particular issue. There's an executive order, 12333, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think I'm all right. Is an executive order that has been longstanding to prevent federal entities and agencies from spying on United States citizens. It's an absolute prohibition to do that at any level of law enforcement, the intelligence or military apparatus. So if we're not sending people to prison for violating that standard of accountability, then we're wrong. We're not holding people accountable anymore. I don't care about Republican, Democrat, or Independent. If you violate the standards of accountability in this country, you need to be held accountable and according to law.
What and as we finish up here, only a couple of additional minutes, but what, if anything, can we do about the incredible influence that lobbyists have on our congresspeople? I understand that it's up to us to elect the right people that will not be beholden to these big money special interests. I'm thinking of pharmaceutical companies. I mean, all, across the board. I mean, there's just so much. If you go to Washington D.C., I know you've been.
Absolutely.
You go down K Street, and some of the most beautiful palatial buildings that you'll find are the lobbyist buildings because they spend a lot of money to influence a lot of policy.
Yeah. There's a lot of power there. So with money comes a lot of power. I will tell you that I'm very proud to say that I've never been a lobbyist. I've always been an advocate. I never got paid. I was a military or national security advisor in a volunteer capacity, just because I love our United States military and what we stand for around the world. But what I will say is lobbyists continue to wreck the political spectrum in D.C., and it's all tied to money and how much this agency or corporation is paying this series of politicians or however you want to look at it. It's a pay-for-play system that we really got to get out in front of. I said it years ago. I said if we could get rid of lobbyism tomorrow morning, we could clean up a lot about what's wrong with D.C., but we would probably also destabilize our economic security at the same time. So there's got to be a balance drawn there.
Well, and it's a struggle for me because I recognize that money is a form of speech. It can be a form of speech, and so I am a fierce defender of our freedom to express ourselves and our freedom of speech and our freedom to associate with like-minded people. And at the same time, I'm frustrated with how that is being used in ways that kind of goes against the fabric of the American people.
I cannot, as a candidate, come on your radio show or any other public forum and say that I want to go to D.C. and deregulate, and in the same conversation say I want to go regulate. What I can say is with great freedom, which is what we're supposed to stand for here in this country, comes great responsibility. And we're abandoning our responsibility to ourselves and our government.
I'll say one final thought. You mentioned the education piece. Somewhere along the way, it was said to me years ago that if you went to a Catholic school, you would not expect anything other than a pro-Catholic education. And for a long, long time, public education was an American education, and so you received a pro-American education. Now, sadly, that's turned into a pro-government education, which are two very, very different things. So our American public school system became the government school system, and along the way, we lost that pro-American spirit, and it became a pro-government spirit, which I think you understand are two very, very different things.
Absolutely. It's more than half of what's wrong with our country right now, but we've got to get back grounded in what allowed us to survive for 250 years. I've said that because that's a benchmark in our nation's history right now. We were allowed to survive for 250 years as the greatest nation on earth, providing opportunity in this country that you'll get nowhere else. I don't know what people's experiences are out there, but I've been around the world 3 times. I've been in austere environments. I've been in places that I didn't know if I'd survive. You do not want to go to those places if the United States is non-sustained or we collapse somewhere along the way. What I would implore people to do is get back grounded in the pro-American spirit, love your country, be willing to serve it and die for it. Do not live another day on this planet asking what the government can do for you.
That's well said. And, and I'll add this, and Jeremy's not paying me to say this. If you're down in Fayetteville, go to the Revolutionary Tavern. I mean, listening to Jeremy talk, it's got to be a great place to get something to eat.
We have a good time down there.
Well, and I love the
and we welcome everybody.
I love the theme. I love the spirit of it.
Yeah, we welcome everybody. That's important too. As a candidate, I don't alienate. I understand that if I get elected to this position, that I have to be of service to everybody that lives in this district. I'm running on a Republican ticket. I'm a Christian, conservative combat veteran. I believe very much in conservative values, and my faith is strong. But I believe in being good to people, but also believe in holding people accountable.
Well, it's been a great pleasure to get to know you on air, and we look forward to the next conversation. Best of luck to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Jeremy Thompson with a P.com is the website where you can find out more about Jeremy, and we'll be back in a moment, 52 after the hour on Super Talk. What's up, friends? It's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you about one of my favorite places in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the Glock store. Lenny McGill, years ago, moved his location from San Diego. They didn't like Glocks very much out there in California. You don't like guns, generally speaking. Don't like the Second Amendment, really. Well, he moved to a place that does, Nashville, Tennessee. And, man, they've been growing like gangbusters ever since. We are so lucky to have them right in our backyard. If you go to Glockstore.com, you'll see that they ship all over the United States of America. But we have them right here, which gives us insane access to some of the wonderful deals and wonderful specials that they're running, and some of the exclusive access that we have to pretty cool people, like the big O-Site Glock Store event happening on August 7th, Friday, August 7th. Check-in is at 9 a.m. from about 9 to about 11:30, and the event starts at noon. I want you to get these tickets. You'll meet and greet professional shooters like Short Shot Tony, who is a funny guy, YouTube sensation. I was watching some of his videos the other night. Pretty cool. Justine Williams is the USPSA's youngest master with 24 separate national championships. Pretty cool in that regard, too. And you can meet these folks. Plus, you can get a bead on some of the brand new O-Site optics that they have on hand at the Glock store. Pre-release O-Site optics, hands-on range time, expert instruction, expert red dot installation instruction, plus a catered lunch and a VIP bag worth over $2,000. Go to Glockstore.com/VIP. Glockstore.com/VIP for this very special event happening August 7th.
Daylight savings time permanent? Well, the House says yes. We'll see what the Senate says this time. Coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jackson Williams is not the only person that's given me grief over moving Nincompoops. My apologies. You know, we moved Nincompoops for a bona fide, I mean, he's a great American. He's a fine guy. I just got a chance to meet him and know him, and Jeremy Thompson was a great interview, and I hope that all of you enjoyed it. Many of you are commenting on it, saying, you know, good interview, said Larry. I don't know who that guy was before your interview, writes 3425, but I got to say he came across as a super guy. I'd vote for him in a heartbeat if I was in his district. 5237, Jeremy Thompson seems like a good choice for District 9 in my opinion. Very cool, very knowledgeable. 5007, Jeremy is impressive all the way around. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Lynn says Jeremy's the best man for that seat. And you know, here's the deal. I just want to make you the most informed listening audience possible. And if you're in District number 9, make sure that you don't think it's a fate certain. You are the one that decides what the fate is in that congressional primary and ultimately what the fate is in that congressional district. Right before I came back on air, Jeremy and I were talking about, you know, getting out of the primary and, you know, I mean, it's a plus 11 according to Jeremy, and that sounds about right in terms of redrawing of the district line. So you need a strong candidate coming out of that Republican primary to take on what is expected to be a formidable political challenge in the form of Justin Pearson. So you guys have the information. Do with it what you will. We've got another hour to go on the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, to include Nincompoops in the news, Jackson. By the way, who won yesterday?
Ken Weaver.
Me.
A bunch of liars in there. We'll be back in a moment.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Well, the U.S. House has passed a bill to make daylight saving time permanent nationwide. Tennessee Congressman Scott DesJarlais, the Speaker Pro Tem, played the Beatles' Here Comes the Sun as he announced the final vote tally.
On the vote, the yeas are 308, the nays are 117. The bill is passed.
Under the legislation, states would have the opportunity to opt out. The bill now goes to the Senate, where its future is uncertain. Backers argued the change would provide more usable daylight in the evening and improve quality of life. Well, another restaurant chain is modifying some ingredients at select locations because of the growing cyclosporiasis outbreak. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
Taco Bell says it is voluntarily and temporarily removing some ingredients at select restaurants as a precautionary move amid the parasitic outbreak impacting multiple states. The company is noting that public health officials have not confirmed a link between cyclosporiasis and any specific supplier or restaurant. In Michigan alone, 600 more cases have been reported since Monday. Preliminary findings in Michigan suggest lettuce or salad greens could be the source of the illness. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Federal immigration officers have been told to stop pulling people over after two deadly shootings involving ICE agents in the past week, one in Maine, another one in Texas. Officials say the pause is temporary. It's aimed at providing additional training for ICE officers. Vehicle stops may still be authorized when agents are targeting serious criminal suspects. Here in Nashville, a Hermitage backyard that neighbors say hosted monthly fight events is now under a Metro Code stop work order. Councilman Jordan Huffman says complaints included reports of admission fees, prize money, injuries, heavy traffic.
You've got a quiet neighborhood here in Hermitage that once a month historically has become the site of a literal fight club, things that you hear about on TV and movies.
News 2 says photos provided showed a large cage and crowds gathered at that property. And a Nashville woman facing multiple charges after stabbing a medic with a dirty needle during an ambulance ride. Police say 33-year-old Jessica Woods also pulled the medic's hair, tried to bite her before running from the ambulance. Officers later found Woods. They say she hit a cop in the face with handcuffs. Woods is charged with 2 felony counts of assault and a first responder and 9 misdemeanors. Justices Elena Kagan and Amy Coney Barrett on today testified before Congress to urge lawmakers to approve millions of dollars in new security enhancements for the Supreme Court. ABC's Peter Haralambous has more.
The Supreme Court Police reports a 38% increase in threats to members of the court over the past year. Threats that Justice Barrett described firsthand.
I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one.
The hearing marked the first time since 2019 that members of the court appeared before lawmakers to defend their budget, which calls for increasing the number of security officers assigned to each justice and building an off-site visitor security screening facility near the court. Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Crashes. Nolensville Pike northbound before Swiss Avenue. Bell Road at Murfreesboro Pike. John Lewis Way at Broad. Then Brentwood, a crash on the right shoulder. 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. Also in Bellevue, Highway 70 south at Old Hickory Boulevard. I'm Ken Weaver.
Coming up on the Matt Murphy Radio Show this hour, I ask a question. I meant to bring it up earlier in the show, but we got to talking about a variety of different issues, to include the fact that I'm not voting for political candidates that choose not to stand on the debate stage against their political rivals. I'm just not. I'm not. This is not some grand stand I'm taking, except that I'm telling you about it, and I would encourage you to consider it. If they're not willing to face the white-hot spotlight of an unscripted dynamic with their political opponents asking for your
support in their application for the job, then what are we even doing around here? And then we had a lengthy conversation, a longer than expected conversation with a candidate from the 9th Congressional District by the name of Jeremy Thompson. Seems like a fine guy. He is from Fayetteville, Tennessee. He's running in the 9th Congressional District. He had years of military service, and he's now he owns a restaurant down in Fayetteville, and he also has a volunteer organization working with Veterans Affairs. We appreciate Jeremy stopping by for the better part of the hour, offering his candidacy for your consideration. 615-737-9986. But the point is, I mentioned it yesterday. Where are you on the issue of usury law? Usury laws are state statutes that dictate a maximum interest rate that a lender can legally charge for a loan. And it varies state by state because there's no federal cap for consumer loans. Well, in the state of Tennessee, there's one particular organization that has created something called Flex Plan borrowing that ultimately allows for like 279% rates on amount of money borrowed. And I'm wondering if there is something that the state should do about that, or do you think that that's strictly an agreement between the consumer and the business, and the state should not be a part of the conversation? I feel compelled that we should do something about the insanity of some of these maximum interest rates. What say you? 615-737-9986. Before we get into that, however, because we suspended it during the 5 o'clock hour, ladies and germs, it's time to play a little game we call Nincompoops in the News. Ah, man, it was such a
Nincompoops in the News.
I was like, whoa. I was right there. I built it up. I was ready for the thing. And Jackson was not ready for me, per usual.
I was ready. My button was just down.
We look all across the great state of Tennessee, the volunteer state as it were. We look all across these 50 United States of America.
Nay the globe!
Nay the globe.
Nay the globe. And we find the nincompoops where they live and they breathe. And I do believe, by the way, it was Matt Murphy that won yesterday.
I don't think so.
Well, you're going to like the batting order, though.
Okay. I'll allow it.
Look at this. You see these right here?
Yeah.
We're going to have some of these later.
You will.
Hey, Ken, would you try a Blazing Fire pickle slice if I gave you one?
No.
Okay, Ken says no.
Look at the packaging that's in. That's where that diarrhea parasite comes from.
Not true. It says made in the USA. Look, right there.
Does it say diarrhea parasite free?
No, it does not.
I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would try one at some point, but not tonight.
Uh-huh.
Too close to bedtime.
Oh, yeah. I understand that, Ken. These things look delicious. I might try one of these. Blazing Fire Pickle Slice. The best spicy fire pickle on the market today. It says it right here on the package.
It's one of the ingredients, cyclosporiasis.
Let's see. Cucumber, water, vinegar, salt, and then it contains 2% or less of, what'd you just say, Ken?
Cyclosporiasis.
Oh, yeah, it's right here. No.
Oh, well.
Oh, it does have oleo resin. Wasn't that oleo resin the stuff that made you? Remember that stuff? Like remember they had potato chips. They said, oh, these are like fat-free potato chips, and they go right through you, but then they would create oily discharge.
Goodness.
I think it had that oleo stuff in it. Anyway, here's the deal, folks.
Yeah, I'm not eating one of those.
Matt Murphy won yesterday. I was the big winner on a Monday edition of Nincompoops in the News. Thank you very much.
That's way to go, brother Matt Murphy.
Thank you, Ken. As a result, Matt Murphy's batting order will be Ken Weaver goes first.
Yay!
Jackson Williams goes second.
And Murphy goes last because he doesn't have a story.
and Murphy goes last. Because he doesn't have a story. But I'll have one by the time I go.
You better get to looking.
Look, I got plenty. I'm not worried about you fellas at all. I got it.
So would you say that Murphy up the rear?
No, I would not say that. I would say it's Ken Weaver, Jackson, who needs to be quiet right now, and Matt is what I would say. That's what I would say. What would you say?
I would say it's Weaver, Williams, Murphy up the rear.
By the way, none of us have a story having to do with Taco Bell, right?
No.
Nope.
Okay, well, maybe I do.
I've got one that's close.
Well, I just find it funny, and it's a little too serious to use it in nincompoops, but I just find it funny that the most obvious possible responsible party of this explosive diarrhea parasite is now under investigation.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe more on that coming up during Matt Murphy's portion of Nincompoops in the News. Ken, you're a nincompoop?
Out of Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Arby's manager accused of giving customer herpes after spitting in food.
I've done this one.
Oh, you already did it?
It's one while I was out. Or you were out.
All right, well, I got another one.
It was funnier when Ken did it.
It was funnier when Ken did it.
It's just... you want the herp?
Son of a biscuit eater, Brother Jackson. All right, here we go. This here's out of Ellicott City, Maryland. A man allegedly called police to report his truck had been stolen. Officers reportedly discovered that the carjacking occurred while the man was robbing a cell phone store. According to body cam video posted by the Howard County Police Department, officers received a call from a man shortly before 5:44 a.m. Said his truck had been stolen while he was at a McDonald's. The man identified as 29-year-old Jalen Goddard in a crime bulletin from the department. Shortly before officers responded to Goddard's call, they were investigating a burglary at Verizon store that was across the street from the convenience store they met Goddard at. Officers discovered a broken window at the scene with dried blood, indicating to the investigators the perpetrator may have left the scene bleeding. That's a pretty good tip. Officers checked Goddard's hands while speaking with him. And they noticed one of his hands was bleeding.
Uh-oh.
An arresting officer said in the body camera video that Goddard had blood on his hand, glasses, and shirt. Goddard told police he had not been at the Verizon store. Authorities released surveillance video from the store that showed a man in black clothing and glasses. So the gig's up. It's whether you want to be honest about stuff or not, an officer eventually told Goddard. Goddard did not confess to the crime on the body camera footage, but he did lament his truck being stolen. As he complained, an officer told him the situation was, quote, karma. That's some kind of karma right there, ain't it?
Whoa!
That's some karma right there, dude. In the bulletin, police accused Goddard of stealing speakers from the Verizon store. He was arrested and charged with burglary, theft, and destruction of property.
Man. You know what that fella is, Ken?
He's an nincompoop.
He is a nincompoop. Jackson, where's your story from?
Lake County, Florida.
Okay, very good. I feel very good about my chances of winning right now. Ken, great story. Fine backup. Jackson, go ahead and get through yours so I can get to the winner, please. Thank you.
2 Lake County charter school principals arrested hours apart for DUI in the same vehicle.
Say, you wouldn't win if Ken wouldn't laugh.
2 school principals in Lake County were arrested on DUI charges in Clermont after separate incidents involving the same car early on July 5th.
Man.
Goodness.
The passenger, Christina Alcalde,
Great googly moogly.
and the driver, Jennifer Jimenez, identified themselves as principals shortly after being pulled over around 2 o'clock in the morning. Alcalde listed her employment address as 14012 Old Highway 50 in Clermont, which matches the Minolia address of Pinecrest Lakes Academy. The school staff page showed her as the principal as of Monday night. Jimenez, who did not list her employment address, smart, is listed online as the principal of another school in Lake County. During the traffic stop, an officer asked Jimenez, "Miss Jennifer, have you consumed any alcohol today? Because I can smell it." "Yes, I have." "Yes, I have," Jimenez replied. The officer noted issues with the way Jimenez was driving. When she got out of the car, she told the officer about her passenger. "She's worried about me," Jimenez said. When asked why, she said in part because they're both high on the totem pole of education. Jimenez declined to perform a field sobriety test and was taken to the Lake County Jail. According to the arrest report, Acaldi was deemed unfit to drive, and police made sure she took a ride share and, with her permission, parked the car in the area where Jimenez was pulled over. However, about 2.5 hours later, an officer pulled Alcalde over in the same car near State Road 50. "Why are you driving?" the officer asked. Alcalde said she was trying to bail out her friend. "I'm not meaning to do nothing wrong. I'm way better now."
She doesn't seem nearly drunk enough. Do it again. Drunker. Drunker.
Like I'm not meaning to do anything wrong. I'm way better now. Acaldi said. After performing field sobriety tests, Acaldi was arrested.
Yeah.
Both Acaldi and Jimenez pleaded not guilty to DUI and refusal to submit to DUI testing.
See, that first lady you did, she was sober. That second one, she's got to take
She's drunk.
She's drunk. She's got to take some field sobriety tests.
But they're both nincompoops.
They're both nincompoops. All right, if y'all are finished, let's go ahead and get with the winner.
Hit it, Brother Murphy.
Headline: Thief tries to rob bank in Beltsville, Maryland with stolen kitten. A man grabbed a kitten from an adoption area of a Maryland pet store, then allegedly tried to use the female kitten to rob a nearby bank. It was far from the perfect crime. Police. See, kid doesn't laugh for me. He laughs for you. I cry foul. I think there's shenanigans going on. That was funny. Perfect.
It is funny, Brother Murphy.
Don't give me any pity.
You gotta get that pity laugh.
I don't want your pity, Weaver. I don't need it. It was far from the perfect crime. Police were on the scene in minutes, and the kitten,
good,
named Magnolia, came through unharmed. Security camera video shows the man in a light-colored T-shirt and black beanie walking into the Pet Supplies Plus on Baltimore Avenue in Beltsville, Maryland. Seconds later, he ran out, clutching a black and white kitty cat. Witnesses say he kept running. He went straight into the PNC Bank in the same shopping center. According to Stephanie Sulich of the Beltsville Community Cats Rescue, she was nearby. She got a call from a very alarmed store employee around 10 a.m. They said somebody used the keys hanging nearby to open the cat adoption area, and they took 3-month-old Magnolia. Sulich drove over immediately. Immediately, I see all these police cars, and I'm like, wow, that's a heck of a response for a stolen cat. But then I realized they were all running into the bank. They came back out a few minutes later and says, "Hey, lady, there's a cat inside the bank." Apparently, he went into the bank with a cat in his arms, walked up to the bank employee, asked the employee, "Can you please hold this?" He then handed the employee the cat, wrote a note, handed it to the bank teller, which essentially said, "Give me all of your money." Prince George's County Police confirmed that they took a man in custody at the bank. Employees at the pet store say that he had been coming in nearly every day for a couple of weeks. He always made a beeline for the kitty cats. Came in, saw that none of my team was in nearby the front, went right after her, and came out with the cat. Magnolia, by the way, as at the time of the writing of this story, is still up for adoption at the Pet Supplies Plus.
Where is this?
In Beltsville, Maryland.
I think I'm going to go get you a cat.
I wouldn't mind a black and white kitty cat.
Neither would Mrs. Beasley.
No, well, that's true. That might be a little bit of trouble.
I'd take her, but I'm allergic.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing I'm allergic to, cats.
Really?
And horses.
That's all the more reason to get a cat in my home. Maybe a horse. Keep Jackson away. Oh, Jackson, we'd love to have you over, but, all the horses.
Oh, don't you worry. I can take an Allegra.
Ladies and gentlemen, a man trying to rob a bank with a cat, that fella is a nincompoop.
Yes, sir.
That's how we play it. You can vote for Weaver if you want.
Yes, do.
You could vote for Jackson, I suppose.
They often do.
Or you could vote for Matt Murphy. You haven't heard a story about a man trying to rob a bank with a kitty cat yet, have you? Well, you just did. That's how we do it. Nincompoops in the news. Super Talk 99.7 WT and vote early, vote often. 615-737-9986. 22 after the hour. Back right after this.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I'm so very excited to tell you about my friend, Dr. Catherine Beckman, and her brand new clinic, the Beckman Dry Eye Institute. They're located over in Cool Springs, and Dr. Catherine's clinic is unlike anything that you are familiar with. Here's the bottom line, friends. She doesn't dispense glasses. She doesn't offer you contacts. She doesn't do your annual eye exam. She treats patients with dry eye disease, otherwise known as ocular surface disease. She sees people who overuse their contact lens solution, make a mess of the surface of their eyes, people who have constant dry eye due to the medications that they take. Maybe their eyes don't produce the tears that they need. There's a million different causes and maybe as many different reasons why this might be happening to you. But whatever the cause, here's the bottom line. This is a wonderful opportunity for you. The Beckman Dry Eye Institute gets to the root of your dry eyes. If you have dry eyes, if you have irritated eyes, and you don't understand why, and you just think this is the way that you have to live with eye drops or whatever, do not live this way any longer. Contact Dr. Catherine and the Beckman Eye Institute. I promise you, you'll be happy you did. Tell them Matt sent you for that initial consultation. The initial visit is just $149. You'll go over all of what's going on in your world. And what do you have to lose but the suffering from dry eyes? The Beckman Dry Eye Institute, 629-230-3161. 629-230-3161 or online at BeckmanDryEyeInstitute.com. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy. If you want to know a place where European auto repair does not feel like European auto repair, I'm here to tell you it's at Eurofix. I've been talking about Eurofix for a long time, and they've been growing by leaps and bounds, 5 separate locations to serve you. They grow because of the experience that you have when you go there. They're clean, they're comfortable, they're inviting. Those service areas and waiting rooms, you could stay there all day long. You don't have to, though. Because they're going to get your car fixed jiffy quick. They believe in treating you like family. Every repair comes with a rock-solid 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all the repairs they perform. Plus, at below-dealer pricing, you don't have to wait on a callback. They're not going to ghost you. They're going to get back to you jiffy quick, and they're going to fix everything European, and they'll fix your vehicle as well. Free 15-minute no-wrench inspection on your automobile to make sure that they understand what's going on, and they'll give you a full diagnostic analysis when they do it. Plus, a rental car available with every appointment. Locations in Nashville, Franklin, Belmead, Murfreesboro, and Mount Juliet. 844-EUROFIX, 844-EUROFIX, or online at MyEuroFix.com, MyEuroFix.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Radio Show voting underway. You can vote, obviously, on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. You can also vote on the YouTube chat. There's a poll that goes on there, and that poll counts for five separate votes. I feel like we should probably count them a little bit more. I mean, don't you? I mean, we've had 43 people vote on the YouTube side of things. 42 people have voted on the YouTube side of things. I feel like at some point we need to have an executive committee hearing and determine that the YouTube vote should count for like 10 votes.
You see, this is what Matt does when he's winning the YouTube poll.
Whoa! I haven't even looked.
This is the first I've heard of this.
Am I in the lead here? Oh, looky here. I am in the lead. Oh, 44 votes. Wait a minute. Now that I look at this poll here, Jackson, this isn't your name at all. Who's King Jackson?
That would be me.
Ken Weaver gets a pass, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And then why does it say crooked Matt Murphy? Why in the world would it say that? Who did someone have a typo, Jackson?
No, it was just passed down to me by the committee.
Mm-hmm. Well, crooked Matt Murphy, as it says here on the poll, with 50 votes in, is currently leading. Is currently leading with almost half of the total, 49%. You see, the dude used a pussycat to attempt to rob a bank. And the jokes write themselves. Don't make me.
Tell one. Tell one. I get to go home early.
I just thought.
Because we'll both be fired.
You better watch out. This thing will go off. I'm just making myself giggle because I thought of a joke that I can't tell on the air. And
are you going to tell me when we go to the news?
No, probably not. You're not old enough for this one. Pretty delicate. Anyway, vote early, vote often. I'm a little surprised. So, is anyone else concerned? I opened up the conversation because I had a discussion with a good friend of mine about this, and the good friend was very concerned about the nature of the company Advance Financial. Are y'all familiar with this? Now, maybe it's not on your radar screen because you've not been in need, but apparently in the state of Tennessee, and Tennessee's fairly unique, that they created these things called flex loans at Advance Financial, which act more like a credit card than a short-term loan situation. And they loan you up to $4,000 and you pay it back in a structured way so as to, you have to pay off certain principal and interest. But bottom line is this: in worst case scenarios, you're paying back, like your interest rate adds up to 279% of the principal loan. And I'm wondering why we do this in Tennessee. And is it a matter of political influence that we allow this to happen? Do we not care about usury? Maybe we don't. Tennessee's general usury limit for unwritten or standard contracts is 10% per year. For written contracts, the legal interest rate is the lesser of 24% per year, or 4 percentage points above the average weekly prime loan rate set periodically by the state. None of that seems to have anything to do with Advance Financial. But I asked the question and I don't get a lot of response because I understand that some believe it's a contractual agreement between the individual applying for the loan and the company itself. At the same time, a lot of times these folks don't have any idea what they're entering into. Is there an obligation on the part of the state to protect some of these consumers ultimately from themselves and from the circumstances of their situation, and to cap the rate at some point? 31 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So you love your house, but you're not that big of a fan of your kitchen. I get it. I feel the same way about my new house. I love my new home, but we know that we're going to, at some point, upgrade the kitchen area. And when we do, there's one stop that we're going to make for all of it, and that's Timberland Cabinets. Because not only do they provide the finest quality cabinets around, and they're right here in Middle Tennessee and Columbia, they also know everyone that can do everything else, right? So I can almost act as my own GC, and Timberland can be my liaison in helping me understand who to go to for countertops, who to go to for the other things that you'll need within the kitchen area. And they are the one-stop shop for all things cabinets, high-quality cabinetry products at affordable prices. For the kitchen, for the bathroom, or anywhere you need cabinets. Friends, Timberland Cabinets simply gives you the premium quality product that you deserve at a lower price point than you would believe. All you have to do is make the call that so many others have made. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Deb, who oftentimes answers the phones over there at Timberland Cabinets, she's not there right now. It's 6:36 in the evening. But if you call and leave a message, they will call you back immediately in the morning. And I would encourage you to do that. 931-499-7170. 931-499-7170. For Timberland Cabinets, online at timberlandcabinets.com. See the incredible difference. These are high-quality cabinets. They're good-looking, and they're made right here in Middle Tennessee. Timberland Cabinets. Friends, Efficient Heating and Cooling's here for you when you need them. There's nothing worse. I mean, I don't wish it on my enemies that your AC goes out this time of year. There's nothing worse. I mean, because my goodness, number one, oftentimes you don't know who to call if you've not been listening to Matt Murphy. You know, if you've been listening to Matt, who to call, and I'll get more to that in a moment. But you don't know what's wrong, and you want to get the AC back up and running because in the heat of the summer, it can be just oppressive. Well, Efficient Heating and Cooling's here for you. Jeff Eddy's here for you. Jeff's not here to oversell you. He's not here to sell you new units. He's here to fix the problem that your unit is going through. Now, sometimes that involves Jeff and his team having to tell you the bad news. I got the bad news in January. You know, my unit was out and there was no fixing it. It was a cracked heater body, and that was what there was to it. But Jeff and the team, they gave me options. They told me, well, you could do this, you could do this, or you can do this. And we would recommend you do this. And this was replace the unit, which is what we went ahead and did. It was a 14-year-old unit anyway. One way or the other, they're going to give you the advice that you need, and they're trustworthy as the day is long. They're not the biggest heating and air conditioning company in Tennessee, and they don't want to be. They just want to be the best, the most reliable. The best reputation around is at Efficient Heating and Cooling. Call them today, 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or online at efficienthvac.net. Supertalk 99.7 WTN 3828 says these bleeps need to be put in jail. They get these mostly poor, low-wage people that are having a hard time to start with and compound their problems. They need to stop these predatory loans. And that's just one of the many comments that we've gotten about my conversation over usury laws in the state of Tennessee and whether or not Advance Financial particularly. And look, I don't know any of these people. I have no idea who they are. I know that they spend a lot of money supporting political figures in the state of Tennessee, and I think that's probably largely the reason that they've gone uncommented on regarding how they engage in their business practices. But 279% interest rate, effective interest rate, seems kind of predatory. Nolene says all predatory, opportunistic parasites need to go. None of these lenders should be allowed to operate in Tennessee, in my opinion, and if they are allowed, that interest needs to be capped at no more than the fixed rate APR on credit cards. Now, an opposing point of view, 7706 says, don't be a big brother or big government. I would agree with you, Matt, but then we'd both be over-regulators. Sorry, not sorry, but as you said, it's a decision they make themselves. Whether they know the particulars or not, they made it themselves. That is 7706 has said it. These two balancing acts, right? The balance between people needing to be informed and aware of what they're getting into and the free market versus the government's role or responsibility in preventing usury lending practices. Because the people that are engaging in this have nowhere else to turn, or at least they feel like they have nowhere else to turn. Blake has a thought on it. Good afternoon, Blake. Welcome in. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for taking my call, Matt Murphy. Yeah, I've got just a personal situation, and I'll be real concise. I won't take up much of your time. But I run a construction company for about 5-6 years now, and I had one of my employees that he hired on 3 years ago. He moved in from out of state. He just had a little daughter, and I won't mention who he is. He was in recovery for about 2 years, really getting his life on track from just a tattered past. And he was working with me for about a year. I mean, just a hard worker, and his car broke down. And he had no car, and we said, hey, we'll help you out. We're going to pick you up every morning. We went, me and my workers, we'd go get him, and bring him in. And then one day he come in, he's like, man, Blake, don't worry, I bought me a car. And I'm like, really? How'd you do that? Did you send him money? Well, he got a loan. Okay. I didn't know much about it then. I was just so happy he got a vehicle. A couple months go by, and he's kind of complaining about, what he's paying. And I start digging into it, and he don't know much about financials or interest rates or APRs or anything like that. Come to find out, he got a very cheap car, about $2,000. He borrowed $2,000. And they were charging him near 300% interest and just taxing his check to death. Now, don't get me wrong, he signed up for that, but I don't think he fully knew what he was getting into. And even how comparable such a crazy interest rate is to a loan like I could get. I can go out here and get a 4% loan from a bank because I know what I'm doing. And I feel like, there's the left side, we need to regulate, protect everybody, and there's the right side, we don't need to regulate anything. It stifles production and creativity. We have to have a lightly, judiciously, and smartly regulated capitalistic economy. And the only way to do that is to think about what sectors we need to protect those least vulnerable, do what we need to do there, and and I think that's probably the smartest way to go about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like there's a middle ground here because, in a perfect world, I would say, look, the people need to know what they're getting into, and they need to have that information at their fingertips. But your description of your friend is a perfect example. There are people that don't have an ability to understand what they're getting into, or they can't quite comprehend the consequences of their actions. And is it not right for there to be some basic overriding regulation on some of these industry practices that prevent those people from being sucked down a financial hellhole and a hellscape that they can't get out of?
Exactly. And I'll add one more thing. And actually, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I actually thought about it long enough. I called our state representatives back about 2 years ago over this, and I left some messages. I finally got a hold. I can't remember. Somebody over the district of McMinnville, Tennessee. And apparently, there's this area that's not regulated, which there obviously, and I'm not a lawyer, not an expert, but there are laws that help certain people. But I would think that they need to actually close this loophole. However it is they're getting away with this, just to protect those like we're talking about, not overregulate it, but do what we need to do.
Well, the concept was originally sold to the legislature, and thank you, Blake, for the call, and was sold to the people of the state of Tennessee as a new type of loan that would help Tennesseans. There's one particular business out there that has sued over 100,000 Tennesseans as a result of this type of payday loan, which was pioneered by Advance Financial. I don't know if they're the only place that does it in town or the only place that does it in the state. But while people have suffered and are being sued by this company because they don't fully understand the agreement that they're entering into, I mean, the company, I'm not against making money, but my goodness. Now, 0469, I don't know. I think 0469 says, would we prefer they went to a loan shark? Well, I don't know that I would prefer they go to a loan shark. I think some of these people might say that they would prefer to go to a loan shark, that they could get away with a lower interest rate by going to a loan shark. Then 1221 says, about 15 years ago, maybe longer, Advance Financial lobbied to get the state usury laws changed to allow crazy interests and fees. They also got it changed to allow crazy administrative fees that aren't called interest, but it's effectively an insane interest rate. It's my understanding, too. I don't pretend to understand it quite as much as I'm going to, but I want to look into why we're allowing this to grow in the state of Tennessee in the fashion that we are, and is there a political connection that prevents our lawmakers from doing something? I mean, maybe it's as simple as they don't think it's the government's job, and if that's the case, then so be it. If you don't believe it's the government regulates banks. The government regulates really all lending institutions, and I suppose you could say that the regulation that Advance Financial and these types of companies are operating under the system in which the laws give them the ability to operate. But boy, oh boy, it just seems pretty odd that they've sued over 110,000 people since 2015, significantly more than any other payday lender. They're one of the largest plaintiffs of any Tennessee-based company collecting debt. And they're doing so. They filed the lawsuits after Tennessee lawmakers approved the Flex loan, which was a product that was pioneered by Advance Financial. The loan has a $4,000 cap, which is 9 times higher than the limit for most payday loans. The company charges the equivalent of 279.5% annual interest. Before Flex loans became legal in 2015, payday lenders could only lend $425, and the borrower could never be required to pay back more than $500. Since then, those protections were eliminated, and thousands of borrowers have been defaulting. And through those defaults, they then get sued. Now, you guys know me. We've had a long-standing relationship since I got here in December of 2021. I hope that you trust me when I tell you that I'm no big government guy. I don't want government over-regulating good, honest business that's just in it to make a little profit on the side and benefit their customers, but I don't think that's what's happening here. We need, in combination with maybe some revamping of these regulatory laws and usury laws, maybe we need a little financial literacy taught in our school systems, basic life skills taught in our school systems. Well, the problem, Sandra, is you're right. Banks don't make the risky types of loans that these companies do, and that it's always sold as the benefit is that these people would not be able to borrow money from anywhere else because their credit is so bad or they don't have a lot of collateral or whatever, which I would say at this point it's probably to their benefit that they aren't allowed to borrow any money from anywhere else. It's almost like legal loan sharking, and I'm not. It is legal. There's no question about that. And Advance Financial spends a lot of money in the political arena to make sure that it stays legal. And it was brought to my attention, and I thought that it should be brought to yours. Perhaps some further discussion. 615-737-9986. It's 10 until the top of the hour. 10 until 7 o'clock on Super Talk. Friends, Grace Point Healthcare sees the calendar and they recognize that perhaps the kids are getting ready to get back to school, and maybe you've got some athletes in your family and they need sporting physicals. Well, if you need a sports physical, they can get it done at Grace Point Healthcare. They do it all from newborns to seniors. They treat everyone in your family, and they do so in affordable ways, convenient, comprehensive medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. That means they're a direct pay outlet. You pay them, and then you can file with your insurance company for reimbursement after the fact. Bottom line is this: you keep costs down that way. And when you utilize the Smart Care plan, my goodness, this is a no-brainer, friends. You can pay through your HSA. Thank you to the big, beautiful bill, right? So you pay $99 for the grown-up, $79 a month for the kids. And you get unlimited office visits, unlimited visits throughout the course of the year, thanks to our friends at Grace Point Healthcare. Plus, they even do house calls if you're too sick to go in. You don't have to wait for long periods of time. They just do it better at Grace Point. And they're located in Franklin, convenient to anywhere within the sound of my voice. 599-6868, 599-6868 to our friends at Grace Point Healthcare. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you until 7 o'clock tonight. Thank you for being with us. No, see, 3887 says that ad just said that we're the fastest growing state in Tennessee. I don't know about that, but I know that according to CNBC that we suck as a state and we're closed and we don't need anybody else because we're no good. We're no good. We're no good. We're no good. Baby, we're no good. Why don't you go on down the road?
I hear if you drive on 40, you catch on fire.
Fair. I hear if you drive far enough down 40, you know what you get to? Arkansas. Enjoy.
I think they were on the list, too.
Yeah, they were. It was all southern states. It was all southern states. You know why? Because we don't believe in unionizing. All that kind of crap. Betty is next up. Hey, Betty, how are you?
I'm fine, Matt. Really quick. It's not always lack of financial education that makes someone do that. I was a broke single mom for a number of years, no child support, no nothing, and had a car that was breaking down, and I needed to be able to get to work, and that was my only option. And it's not just Advanced Financial. There's also a company called Speedy Cash. They do the same thing. And I originally grew up in Chicago, and let me tell you something. Better to get a mob loan because the VIG is cheaper than what they're charging people. So there you go.
I wonder why we're allowing this to happen in Tennessee. Why we wouldn't want to put better caps on some of this stuff. Or if do our state lawmakers suggest that, hey, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware, and you enter into the agreement, so you're obligated to pay it off no matter what the interest rate might be? I mean, why have usury laws at all?
Well, Tennessee has a high bankruptcy rate. That's one of the things that they claimed when they passed the law.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Well,
as someone who was a victim of it, and thank you, Lord, he delivered me. It took a lot of years, a lot of work. Was not afraid of being work. I've worked 2 jobs. I've worked 3 jobs before at a time. So, and I know about financial stuff, but when you know you have to get to work to support your kids and put food on the table, you do what you got to do. And you know what? That wasn't illegal. I never did anything illegal. But I'll tell you what, they sure do take a huge advantage of you. They do.
So, yeah, I see it, and I don't know. I understand the concept of, hey, you're a grown person. You need to understand the agreement or the arrangement that you're going into. At the same time, the process seems to be allowing people to borrow more money than they have the ability to pay back. They eventually they're repaying the amount of money, interest mostly, and then a small amount on the principal, I suppose. But then that goes back to the overall account level, and the loan itself does not end until such time as you completely close it out. Or if you have an inability to pay, they immediately take you to court, and you have to pay their court fees, and you can't dig. My grandpa always said you can't dig yourself out of a hole, and I don't know. I'm scratching the surface on this. I don't suggest I have all of the answers on it, but I'm willing to listen, and I'm wondering what, if anything, our legislature is going to do about this, because this seems to be that doesn't seem to be going on in a lot of other states. This level of usury. We're back tomorrow, back after it on a Wednesday edition. Jackson Williams has proclaimed that he will eat not 1, not 2, but 3 Blazing Fire pickle slices. Let's see if I made that up or not, starting tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Until then, for Jackson Williams, for Ken Weaver and the rest of the crew, have a wonderful evening. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.